up? The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi, so get started. Even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well, so call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. A nice afternoon out there. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny, a high of 82 degrees. Overnight tonight, mid-60s, and some patchy fog is likely again tomorrow morning. Otherwise, tomorrow is quiet, partly cloudy with a high of 83.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is down 240 points to 41,956. Market update brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to The Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
Here's the snap. Chuba up the middle. Crashing. No signal, and now they signal touchdown. Carolina, a point after from tying it up. Chuba Hubbard fakes to Sanders. Rolling left. Throws. End zone. Touchdown. Xavier Legette, the first of his career. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Deontay Johnson.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan on a Thursday. I'm Tim Donnelly. Dennis Cox producing the show. NFL football starts tonight. There's Thursday night football. The Panthers are playing the Bears this weekend. This was supposed to be so much. This game, this Carolina-Chicago game was supposed to be one of the more exciting, interesting, revenge-filled, maybe petty matchups of the entire year. I don't think it's a surprise that we got this one towards the front half of the season, because the schedulers putting together the schedule said, ooh, let's put Bryce Young against the guy that was part of the trade to go get Bryce Young. Caleb Williams, that first overall pick, was supposed to be the Panthers, but they traded away that pick for Bryce Young, so they were going to put them against each other. Then Bryce Young got benched. Caleb Williams is struggling, and seemingly everybody forgot about it. Now it's just two middling franchises out there trying to catch their bearings. But it's not that. It is still some form of what it was supposed to be. The Panthers will be trying to make up what they lost in that trade for a while. And they're going to have to hit on some mid-round picks, and they're going to have to hit on some players in free agency to make up everything they gave up in that trade. It's not even done yet, by the way. Their second-round pick this upcoming draft still goes to the Chicago Bears, which adds a little bit of like the Chicago really wants to win this game because that makes their own pick better by making the Panthers worse. Like this should be bitter. This should be bitter. Dave Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, and obviously Bryce Young's head coach, Andy Dalton's head coach, the Panthers head coach, was asked about Caleb Williams so far through the first month of his career.
I know that with rookie quarterbacks, you just try to feature the things they do well, and I think they're working towards those things. But again, they're starting over conceptually. And I've been in that place twice now, in Tampa and then here, and it takes time to figure out your identity of what the offense is going to look like, get a focal point and all that. And they're working towards that. They certainly have some skilled players and some talent around them.
You want to know a dirty little secret that not many people are mentioning? And I actually had to double check. You do the math. I took the notes.
Okay.
And then I was like, let me make sure. And I went back and I rechecked my work. Bryce Young's first 4 games last year.
Okay.
Better than Caleb Williams' first 4 games.
I'm sorry, what?
Better than Caleb Williams' first 4 games. Again, you got to recheck. Got to make sure you're saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying Bryce Young blew him out of the water, but I'll give you the stats. And we're just looking at the basic passing stats. Caleb Williams completed 87 of 141 attempts. That's good for 61.7%. Bryce Young completed 92 of 144. Similar amount of attempts, 63.9% completion. It's a little bit better. Caleb Williams threw for a handful more yards, 787 over 4 games to Bryce Young's 750, but Bryce Young threw for 2 more touchdowns. Bryce Young threw for 5. Caleb Williams threw for 3. Both have thrown 4 interceptions. It's close, but that's pretty obviously Bryce Young. Bryce Young through 4 games better than Caleb Williams. And I'm going to throw in some context. Sprinkle a little bit of context on you. Bryce Young had the significantly worse supporting cast. You can say, oh, well, the reason why Caleb Williams is struggling is because the offensive line in Chicago is not very good. And I would counter with, yeah, same last year in Carolina.
Sounds familiar.
Just because the offensive line was good this year doesn't mean it was good last year. Carolina had problems. And then on top of not having a good offensive line, they had injuries. And you could say, well, Caleb Williams, he has Rome Odunze, he has Keenan Allen when healthy. He has DJ Moore, who was also part of that Bryce Young deal. He has DeAndre. They have weapons. The Panthers did not. So this little trade becomes more complicated if Caleb Williams doesn't live up to the hype that he had. I still think there's a good chance he will. I still think there's a ton of time. Just like after 4 starts, I was saying there's a ton of time for Bryce Young. But here's the part that should make the Panthers mad. Here's the part that should make the Panthers want to go out there and beat the Bears. Here's the ones that should make it not water under the bridge that you fleeced us. If Caleb Williams busts, it's still a ridiculously bad trade for the Panthers. Tyreek Stevenson, starting corner. Darnell Wright, starting tackle. DJ Moore, you know what DJ Moore is. And this year's second-round pick. Just that alone for Bryce Young at this point looks like a severe overpay. That's why this trade was so bad. It was wildly insulated. And what I mean by insulated is if you make a trade, and you see this, ironically, a lot in all the fantasy football articles, where if you're trading a better player away or the higher value, whatever you want to think it is, try to get back picks or try to get back another lottery ticket. That way, if the main thing you're trading for doesn't work out, you have an off chance of getting the value elsewhere. Right? Get the throw-in second-round pick. Because if that second-round pick turns out to be a starting quarterback or turns out to be a starting corner or turns out to be one of the better picks in the second round, you may not even need the main thing to make the trade work. It just goes to show you how far this Panthers team has to claw their way back. From a roster-building standpoint, what Dan Morgan is stacked up against is Caleb Williams. I don't know, people throw generational prospect around too much. I don't think he was generational, but I think he's one of the years where there's an obvious number one quarterback. There was very little debate on who should go number one starting basically his sophomore year. They had an obvious number one quarterback draft pick that ended up being a part of the Bryce Young trade. And if that ultimate value, young quarterback, highly drafted, highly thought of, turns into dust, turns into nothing, Panthers still lose the trade by a bunch. And you'll see it on the field this weekend. Right when Carolina is playing Chicago, imagine, and by the way, you can do this a few different ways. Imagine if the Panthers had Jalen Carter, who's the interior defensive lineman for the Eagles, who when he wants to play is one of the best. Consistency is becoming an issue, but when he wants to play, he's one of the best. Imagine having that guy in the middle of the Panthers defense trying to stop DeAndre Swift. If whoever is across at the cornerback position from J.C. Horn has a tough day, we've seen Mike Jackson be very, very good at times. He's been adequate at least most of the season. But if he has a tough day, imagine putting Tyreek Stevenson over there. Right? This is the ghost of Christmas past a little bit. And if the Carolina Panthers edge rushers stink like they have for most of the year, and Darnell Wright is out there giving them the business, ghost of Christmas past would say that doesn't have to be the case. That guy could have been on your team. And maybe the one that stings the most, DJ Moore. Just because you know what that's like.
Yeah, it was very difficult seeing him last year. Was it 96 catches for 1,368 yards and 8 touchdowns? You're like, oh, yeah.
I think it's funny. He's up there in a bunch of lists as far as like first 6 years of a career, or however long he's been, 5 years of a career, however long he's been in. And every broadcast they bring it up, and it's, you know the names. It's OBJ, it's Randy Moss, blah, blah, blah. And then a little bit down the list, there's DJ Moore as far as yards or catches or something in the first handful of years of a career. And it's always a little frustrating when there's no acknowledgement that like 90% of these came with the Carolina Panthers. It's just a Bears guy getting Bears credit on a Bears game. And it's all because of this trade. It's all because of this trade. So when they match up on the field this weekend, remember it. Get angry about it because, athletes hold grudges. They should. Motivation. And I wish there was something Bryce could do about it, but I guess he could just cheer on Andy Dalton to his anger's content. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, I want to tell you about a crazy awesome event that is coming to Raleigh. And it's crazy awesome for everyone, but especially if you are a fan of watches. Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry, telling you about an extraordinary Rolex event coming to Raleigh at their Village District location, Bailey's Fine Jewelry's Village District location, October 11th and 12th. We're talking Bailey's Pre-Owned Rolex Show, which will feature Daytonas, maybe the most sought after, Submariners, maybe the most popular, iconic collector's pieces from pre-owned and vintage Rolex, Pepsis, Hulks, root beers, Batmans. I mean, if you are a watch fan, what the term, and even if you're not a watch fan, let's be honest, you know what the name Rolex means when you get to an event like this, which is being held at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, their Fox and Bailey watch shop, again, Village District location, that is already the largest collection of pre-owned and vintage Rolexes in North Carolina. That's on any day. That's on you stop in tomorrow. It's the largest selection of pre-owned and vintage Rolexes in North Carolina. You stop in October 11th and 12th at their Rolex event, just imagine how above and beyond they'll go. If there's something specific you're looking for, you want to be there. If you're just there to browse, maybe first time thinking of a luxury watch, you definitely want to be there to see all the options. Learn more at BaileyBox.com. All happening at Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location in Raleigh, October 11th and 12th. We'll take a break. When we come back. NC State, it's time to sink or swim with your freshman quarterback. I'll tell you why coming up.
Football is on the menu tonight.
Showtime, prime time.
And we're delivering some fresh NFC action.
Here we go. Woo!
It's Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Y'all know what time it is, huh?
Pregame starts at 7:30.
Hey, together, baby. We just do this one play at a time.
The NFL on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med.
We came here for one thing, to win.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union are proud to announce the return of the Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Month. For more than 20 years, we have honored over 200 student athletes that are making a difference on their team and in their community. If you are a teacher, parent, coach, or guardian, nominate your Scholar Athlete today. We will select one winner a month to be featured on 99.9 The Fan and on WRAL News Plus. To nominate a winner, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Congrats to last year's winners. Emma Penkunas of Holly Springs High School, Connor O'Toole of Athens Drive, Kenzie Smith of Fuquay Varina, Patience Ifadon of South Garner High, Carrie Ellen Bryan of Southern Lee, Carson Parker, Apex Friendship, Jason Howard of Wakefield High School, and Eric Stoll of Green Level. We also want to thank all of our other local schools who nominated a student: Apex Friendship, Jordan Matthews, Northwood, Green Hope High, Willow Springs, Jacksonville High, South Granville, Cleveland High, Riverside, and South Johnston.
This is Creighton Blackwell with Coastal Credit Union, and I would like to offer my sincerest thanks to every school that nominated a student for this year's award. This award is more than a celebration of exceptional athletes. It's also a celebration of the schools and the communities that helped them grow into the incredible leaders that we like to celebrate.
Congratulations to all of our Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athletes of the Month. If you want to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Snap back on 3rd and goal. Roll out right. Angled pass right. Concepcion catches. Hall's touchdown. KC Concepcion. CJ Bailey throws one on a rollout to the right. And it is 23-14 Pack.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. There it is. Fist pumping coming out of break. All right, I don't know where to go with that. So let's just jump into some NC State football talk. By the way, new episode of Pack Therapy, the podcast, hosted by myself and Mike Glennon. It's out now everywhere podcasts can be found, also on YouTube. Comment questions on the YouTube page, which 99.9 The Fan on the video for Pack Therapy. You might just hear Mike answer those questions next week. It's time to be sink or swim for CJ Bailey this week. They're playing they're playing a conservative brand of football since C.J. Bailey took over. And if you're unfamiliar with the situation, NC State's starting quarterback at the beginning of the year was transfer Grayson McCall. He's been out with an injury the past 2 weeks, and it looks like he will not be ready going into this week as well. They've since been playing a true freshman by the name of C.J. Bailey. The offense struggled last week. The second start for C.J. Bailey. And the freshman, I call it a freshman reason, right? He is a true freshman quarterback. So you can lean into that as a reason for why the offense struggled. It's not an excuse, right? It's not, excuses. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. It's legitimate, right? If you lose a race and you go, well, I slipped at the starting line and I didn't hear the gun go off, and that's an excuse. If you're like, well, both of my ankles are broken, that's a reason. Freshman quarterback is a reason. And it was leaned into. It was leaned on by NC State after the game. Dave Doran said, well, we had a freshman quarterback. We couldn't open up the playbook. Oh, you got to ease in the fresh. There was a lot. The word freshman was used a lot for why the offense would be outgained by over 100 yards by NIU. But now is where it becomes like the life's tough, get a helmet, move on portion of things. For the possibilities, for the potential of your team, you can't let it be a thing. If you had other parts of your offense playing better, you could do what I call go like full Tim Tebow on the Broncos. And you could just say, you're going to throw it 7 times a game, and we're not going to trust you to do anything. And other than that, I just need you to orchestrate the offense. But you have to be able to run the ball to not trust your quarterback. If you can't run the ball, you have to trust your quarterback. Regardless of if he's a freshman, I don't care if he's a middle schooler, I don't care if he's a pro, whoever it is, you have to trust your quarterback if you can't run the football. Your defense will not force 4 turnovers and score a touchdown and set up your offense for another touchdown at the 1-yard line on another fumble recovery every single game. You can't depend on that. You're getting Wake Forest this weekend. I'm not saying they are the scariest team in the world, but they can score. You may not think C.J. Bailey is ready, but you don't have any other choice. It might be low percentage. You may say there's a chance he's going to throw a bunch of interceptions. Sure. Maybe that's the probability, but you need to take the chance. It might be the only chance you have. It would be like at the end of a game saying like, oh, no, we can't call a Hail Mary. We're not ready for it. Like, well, no, there's 2 seconds on the clock. You're down by 6. I don't care if you're ready. You got to roll. Chuck that bad boy up there. Hopefully you come down with it. C.J. Bailey is, by the way, from what we've seen, it's not a Tebow in Denver situation. It's not a guy that can't throw. It's not a guy who can't complete passes. It's just a freshman who you're cautious with. You got to take the speed governor off. You got to take the training wheels off. You might learn something. You might be pleasantly surprised. And if you're not, if he does struggle and if it does cost you, at least you know you went down swinging. Again, if you were averaging 6 yards a carry and you had a running back that you could lean on, then this would all be different. But this week it's sink or swim. There's no more group of 5 teams on your schedule. There's no more, hey, we can ease them into it. Now it's ACC play. It's full go. And the other side of it is, that's where the help is. That's where the help is. Think of it as simple as this. If you had an extremely talented left side of your offensive line and you had a very new, very undersized, maybe an injury replacement right side of your offensive line, and you had to run the football with an inexperienced running back, where would you run? The talented side, right? You'd run behind the left. You'd run to the left tackle. You'd run to the left guard. You'd want that inexperienced running back to have all the help in the world, so you take him to the talent more often than not, right? Obviously, you got to throw your counters in there, your change-ups to keep them honest, but you want to lean on your best players. Where are the most talented players for NC State? And I'm saying most talented specifically because I can't say most productive because a lot of them haven't been getting the chance to get it done. But the most talented players for NC State's offense are wide receivers or pass catchers. Let them help C.J. Bailey. And that's not saying have them run 2-yard routes and hope they run after the catch. I'm saying let them get open downfield. I'm saying let them make tough catches if they have to. I mean, the saying they don't draw pictures on the scorecard, it's true. I don't care if it's a diving one-handed catch over 2 people on the stat sheet for your freshman quarterback. It looks like a completion. Sink or swim. And then you know, right? And then you have something to build off of, and then it's real. But hiding him, and then after the game saying, well, our offense didn't produce because our freshman quarterback, we couldn't turn over the whole playbook. That only works when you have 4 turnovers, and that only, meaning your defense forces them, and that only works when certain things go your way. You could easily put a decent part of that NC State win on NIU. Meaning they shot themselves in the foot a little bit. And you're not going to have a bunch of teams in the ACC do that. Occasionally, yes. Certain teams, much more than others. But you're not going to have a bunch of them. And this happens in every quarterback's career. At some point, someone says, we got to figure out what they have. At some point, the head coach, and actually it's usually a head coach decision. I remember it specifically. In my career, we're playing Old Dominion, which, by the way, I take credit for the existence of Taylor Heineke because we beat Old Dominion. They benched the starter. The next time Taylor Heineke came in, next I checked, he was getting like 800 yards in a game against New Hampshire. NFL guy.
Yeah,
but
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so I take credit. I don't actually, but hey. We're playing ODU. They are putting, when I tell you, everyone in the box. I'm a quarterback, and I'm going like they have one guy split out wide on each receiver. Everybody else, I feel like I can like reach out and smack while I'm under center. Everybody is right in front of our offensive line. Because we had an All-American running back, I was a new quarterback. They were saying, we don't respect you. And for the first half, guess what we did? Bashed our heads into that wall. Just hand it off, 3 yards, hand it off, 2 yards, hand it off, 3 yards, hand it off, no yards. And I'm sitting there going, I'm not loving the confidence my coach is showing in me right now. They've got 11 guys stacked against our offensive line, and we just keep running it. And at halftime, the head coach came up to us. I was talking with the offensive coordinator, and he went, hey, man, we got to throw. And that was to our offensive coordinator, but it was where I could hear it. And I was like, yes, we should. Second half, we didn't even have to throw for a bunch of yards. We threw enough just to keep them honest, and then we could start working the running game in and the screen game. The balance helped, and we ended up winning the game. And that's where you're at with C.J. Bailey. Like, I get what you're doing. You're nervous. You want to hand it off. You're nervous. You want screen passes. You're nervous. You want short passes. He's a freshman. You're nervous. You need someone to look at Robert and I and just say, hey, man, we got to throw. Do it. See what happens. Let's go on this choose your own adventure together.
It's like, Noah Rogers and KC Concepcion. Yeah, you see those two guys over there? They're way more athletic than what they got back there. Let those guys run and chuck it to them.
We got it. We got to. I know you don't want to. We have to. Could be fun. That's where I'm at with NC State this week. If C.J. Bailey doesn't have, we're talking 27 attempts. I'm not asking for the world. 27 attempts. I would guess that the offense will have struggled in a similar way to the past few weeks. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's go ahead and talk about Miller Lending. Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending, the home of the no-cost loan, the no closing cost loan. By the way, lots of people around the station have used Miller Lending, all left happy and satisfied, and you can have the same experience. No closing cost loans allow you to take advantage of a market that, quite frankly, I can't predict, you can't predict as much as everybody says they want to be able to predict it. You can't. But what you can do is be prepared. It's the equivalent of like bringing an umbrella. It's hey, if it rains, I want it. If rates drop, you're definitely going to want to have used a no closing cost loan. And if they don't drop, you're still good, right? It's not like an umbrella is carrying around 500 pounds. You're still good, but when they drop, if they drop, when they drop, over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 10 years, as long as it's before the end of your mortgage, refinance with no closing costs to you, and do that as many times as you need to keep lowering your monthly payment as rates continue to drop. It's the beauty of having a no closing cost loan from Miller Lending. So stop paying all those costs and fees out of your pocket and instead Call Miller Lending, 919-447-3377, especially if you locked in an astronomically high rate over the last year or two when rates were really skyrocketing. You definitely want to give them a call, 919-447-3377, or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that is millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146. We'll take a break. When we come back, quarter of the NFL season is already up. How crazy is that? We give Carolina our quarter season report cards coming up.
Move your sports day forward.
No matter how the rest of the year goes for the Carolina Panthers, the great Red Hope, Andy Dalton, hands you something to believe in early in a season rather than at the end. And he may have given himself something even more to smile about. For at his 5th stop in his career, a true second act as a starting quarterback.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stings that just will never come out.
Oh, Downy in the rinse straight.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Nothing beats a fairway green lawn. Now's the time to seed your fescue lawn. A lot of people think it's springtime, but that's incorrect. You got to get out there and do a core aeration seeding, put down the proper fertilizer at that time. And if you have a warm season lawn, now's an excellent time to start controlling winter annual weeds like poana. And of course, broadleaf weeds never stop, no matter what turf you have. So it's always a good time to apply the proper broadleaf weed control and your fertilizers. 919-329-0095. Visit fairwaygreen.com and go ahead and request a free lawn analysis. We'll be out within a few days and leave a very detailed lawn analysis in the door. Nothing beats a fairway green lawn.
With all these new winners at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club, we need to decide who's in charge.
We need a top prize winner.
We need someone who's good with words, like us crossword winners.
If elected leader, I will extend the hours during which all winners can use the diamond-encrusted hot tub.
Yes! New scratch-offs mean new winners. This month's tickets are packed with $370 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.04 to 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
PGA Tour champions return to Prestonwood Country Club October 11th through 13th. See legends of golf like Els, Longer, and Harrington compete right here in the Triangle. Witness the SAS Championship like never before. Introducing the Porch on 18 Hospitality Suite. Your VIP ticket to golfing greatness. Enjoy gourmet food, premium drinks, and the best seats on the course. Get all details and purchase your tickets today at saschampionship.com. SAS Championship proceeds benefit the YMCA of the Triangle.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Are you a Mean Girls fan?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
You're still trying to make fetch happen, huh?
I've made it happen. I don't know about them, but I did.
You know what? I always think it's funny. There used to be a meme that went around, and it was like, today is the day that Back to the Future was going into the future too.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, I realized people were photoshopping it, and like every 6 months they were saying like, today is the day.
Yeah.
And they were just changing the day. But I think it was actually in like 2015 or something like that. But October 3rd is, you see that all over social media.
See, this is a day where I think there's a TV network out there, it's like TBS or something like that. Just play Mean Girls on repeat. It's October 3rd. Just play it on repeat.
There probably is it's playing somewhere, I'm sure.
It should be.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's funny. You're the big Mean Girls fan.
I loved Mean Girls when it came out, and I still love it today.
Look at that. Learn something about you every day, Dennis.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Let's jump to quarter season report cards. We are essentially a fourth. It used to be so nice. The NFL had 16 games, and it was divided up evenly. It was beautiful. Now they got 17. It doesn't make any sense. But we're still going to use the first 4 as the first quarter of the season, right? And usually by this point, you know something, right? It's the potential from preseason. It's like, well, you've either acted on it, showed flashes of it, or not. And if it's not there, we have to acknowledge that as well. I'll use this example kind of throughout the show talking about this. Like, I'm a big Garrett Wilson believer, the wide receiver for the Jets. I think he's extremely talented. This year, you have to be concerned. You have to be worried. He hasn't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it's like, oh, in the preseason, everyone was excited. It's like, well, he's had a month, and he hasn't done it yet, so I'm believing this month, right? For the Panthers, same thing, right? We had position groups we loved, position groups we thought got better, position groups we didn't like, position groups we thought would struggle. It doesn't matter what we thought preseason now. We have 4 games to fully and completely evaluate. So for our quarter season report cards, I've not seen who Dennis is going to ask. This is going to be like the rapid fire deal here. I'm a teacher. I am sitting with a stack of papers, and I'm just going to throw A, B, B-, C, get tutoring. Like we're gonna make the whole thing work here based on whoever Dennis walks into my office. Who do we have?
All right, let's go. First round pick, Xavier Legette.
B.
Okay.
Solid B. With the reason being, started a little slow, but was maybe in a group project with somebody that wasn't doing much work. So so they had to.
Was that Bryce Young?
Yeah. I'm just saying. The starting slow part, maybe a few bad grades early, not 100% his fault. And now he's kind of crawling out of that hole. So, not an A, because an A would, an A-plus student. They don't care who's in their group. They're going to get the job done. But a solid B is someone that, when judged fairly, is doing solid. Caught his first touchdown this past week, has gotten slowly better coming off an injury. I'm excited. I am impressed. No letters home to parents to say like, hey, we need to have a parent-teacher conference. It's just a solid down-the-middle B.
Okay, let's go with also another wide receiver, Deontay Johnson.
See, this is I need to like get my teaching philosophy down.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, I need to like hone in on my teaching philosophy is I think he has the potential to be so much more. Right? But how do you judge students? If another student put up back-to-back games like that with a touchdown and whatever he had, 15 catches and all of this, I'd go, that is an A+. For him, it feels like I need to motivate him a little more because he had 12 targets that were incomplete, 15 catches on 27 targets in those 2 games. How do you teach somebody who's like, oh, you could be special, but you're not living up to your potential right now, even if like I read your paper and I'm like, oh, this is, better than anyone else's in the class. So I'll go B+ because I want to make him work for the A. I want to make him do a little bit more to get the A, but he's one of the smartest in the class, right? He probably doesn't have to work as hard as some other people in the class to, I pass out the homework. He has it done by the time he leaves the class. Doesn't show his work on his test, but gets the right answer. But I still think there's another level for him. So I'm going B+ with the expectation that he'll probably have an A by the end of the semester.
All right, let's go with one of the big free agent signings, Jadeveon Clowney.
I'm here. I'm going C-.
Okay.
With my main note is no participation. Like we go through an entire class, we don't even know you're here. Raise your hand every once in a while. Let us feel your presence. Essentially, he's played 4 games. Applaud him for attendance. He's been out there,
being in class,
not injured, been there, shows up on time. But through 4 games, there's essentially 2 plays I remember. There's the garbage time sack against the Raiders late in the win. How about that, Panthers? You got a garbage stat when you were ahead.
Let's go.
And then the missed sack, but it was the pressure. Probably should have got Joe Burrow on the ground, but he rattled Joe Burrow enough that Joe Burrow threw an interception to nobody when Jamar Chase broke off his route in an ad-lib late. So, one big play leading to a turnover, you applaud it. 1 sack, you applaud it. Other than that, I need you to participate more. I'm not seeing it. You've missed a couple assignments. C-, flirting with a D if you don't pick it up.
All right, let's go to a group project, the offensive line.
A+. And also, like, the note that I'm sending to your parents is the improvement is noted. From last season to this season, it's like you're a different student. I don't know if it's the mentorship from the new students and Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, but the offensive line, first of all, I'll say this. Offensive lines are the hardest to grade. It's very difficult to know, because sometimes, like, there's a designed free rusher, meaning if you're keeping 5 men in a protection, the 5 offensive linemen, and you don't have a tight end helping, you don't have a running back helping, and the opposing team brings 6, sometimes it's just that 6th man's on the quarterback. Get rid of the ball first, right? Have your hot route ready, or make them miss with your athleticism. So it's hard to watch and go like, oh, geez, did you see that free rusher? That offensive line's so bad, because occasionally it's designed. And unless you're going back and watching the All-22, meaning the coach's film, and you're really diving in, it's very hard to know. But having said that, when your pressure rates are bananas low, when your quarterback has time, when you move from maybe a slightly more mobile quarterback to a more stationary quarterback, and you are still protecting them in the pocket, that is impressive. And then on top of that, you've had a 100-yard rusher each of the last 2 games. So,
yeah,
well-rounded. Your written work is good. Your vocal work in class is good. Like, the offensive line has been one of the, at this point, probably valedictorian.
Okay.
Like, at this point, I think they're the biggest pleasant surprise of the season, and also probably the highest performing unit of the season.
By the way, the Panthers this season averaging 4.4 yards per carry. Last year, just 4. They were in the bottom third in the NFL last year. This year, top half of the NFL, yards per carry.
That's good.
Tied for 12th.
And the offensive line this season has been performing better as pass blockers than they have run blockers even.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of improvement in kind of your secondary, that's good. The offensive line is they're playing well. And shout out to Ike Ekwonu, who I was very worried about coming into the season.
I think a lot of us were.
I'm not saying he's suddenly Jonathan Ogden out there, but he looks like he belongs. And there's a bunch of very talented offensive linemen up there that he's belonging with. So, what do they say? Like, the motivational – see, now I'm in my teacher thing. The motivational, like, you are the 5 people that you interact with the most. So if you want to level up, you want to try to interact with people who are where you want to go. It's like a I don't know, motivational thing. Cut people out of your circle who are weighing you down would be another way to put it. Ike Ekwonu this year is like, all right, cool. Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Taylor Moton, Austin Corbett. That's who he's hanging with. And you're seeing him start to play more like them. Last year he had a different left tackle or left guard next to him seemingly every single game. Hard to play well. So shout out to Icky for being a part of that offensive line that's, I'm grading out so high. And if you are just the guy that does like the conclusion slide on the PowerPoint in the group project and everybody else is really pulling their weight, at least you're doing a good job with the conclusion slide you're out there with. And that's our findings. Thank you. Way to go, Icky.
Final one here. Dave Canales, head coach.
Dave Canales, head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tempted to put like incomplete, but he's out there. He's out there. I'll give him a B-.
Okay.
I'll give him a B-. Those first two games, like if you look at each game as a test, I mean, you got like a 13%, you got like a 27%, then an A, then you got a 90-something, then probably a B. I mean, an A and a B aren't going to completely wipe away when you're looking at the average, a 0 and a 14%. So those two early games are really weighing them down right now. But as you get more entries into the grade book, as there's more projects, as there's more assignments, as there's more tests, those two first games will weigh less and less and less. Though, the averages will spread out a bit. So, I've seen the improvement. I appreciate how you've really buckled in these last two tests. But those first two were, a lot of red ink on the page. You know what I mean? A lot of wrong. So there you go. Little quarter season report card. Hopefully everybody's GPA gets higher as the season goes along. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Canes preseason game last night. First of all, actually, we should update on everything. They raised the Canes are now up to over $300,000 raised.
Yeah.
To support and help and aid the recovery and rebuilding groups out there for the western part of the state after Hurricane Helene, which is awesome. That's all from last night. The ticket sales were $200 and something thousand, and then on top of that, the additions, the other auctions, the other donations have pushed it over $300,000, which is great, and that's awesome. It was a sweet event. The other one I want to update you on is thank you to everybody that participated in the telethon. Thank you to everybody that called in yesterday. We were obviously promoting it on our show, everybody at 99.9 The Fan, everybody at WRAL, our entire family of networks. But there was, I'm sure as of right now, we're over $650,000. Last I saw was $6,448.
Yeah,
$648,000. But there was still a few like online portals and things that were open. I mean, you start talking over $500,000. That's we cannot appreciate your donations and your need to help any more than we do. So thank you to everybody that called in for the telethon. Continue to give, continue to help. Obviously, it's not going to be a short process getting everybody back up on their feet. But between the Canes and the WRAL telethon, I mean, that's about $1 million, and that can go a long, long way. So thank you once again.
Seriously, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, I guess would be the easiest way to say that. But the Canes preseason game, all those people were there buying tickets that helped support the recovery efforts. There was also a game they watched. And how about Felix Unger-Sorum breaking out a bit in the preseason game against Nashville? I believe, or I've noticed, or I guess lack of notice, he's had a quiet preseason.
Yeah.
Last night,
relative.
Not quiet, which means maybe – I'm taking everything preseason grain of salt, so you don't have to, tweet me saying, goodness gracious, it's a preseason game. But I'll put a little bit more on it because Nashville did bring some studs. Like, it's not like they –
Nashville brought their squad.
This was not an AHL versus AHL preseason game that they just wore NHL jerseys for. This was essentially the AHL for the Canes against the big league club for Nashville. So Felix Unger-Sorum finishing with a goal and 2 assists and some highlights – it's a little more. It's a little more than just doing it in a quote-unquote regular preseason game. The lights were on, packed house, right? Big energy in the room. I think it's a good sign that your young guy, 19 years old, youngest guy in camp, felt comfortable in that situation making some plays. We have Rod Brindamore talking after the game. Here's Rod.
He's fearless. I mean, he's just a kid still. So, and he's, like we've talked about enough, learning a new position and all that. So he'll get. I mean, he's just right here right now, and I think there's a lot of room there to grow. And when he gets stronger, just naturally, and figures out the game a little bit, because he still asks a lot of questions, and he should. So, yeah, we're excited about him.
How excited are you, Rod? How quickly do you want that excitement in the NHL, Rod? Now, it's obviously good for Felix Ungersorum. They lost 6-4. Yaniv Peretz in goal had a tough one, but he's not an NHL goalie right now, and he was going up against NHL players. It's tough ass.
Yeah, he'll probably be in the ECHL or the AHL, and he was facing NHL shots in a live game.
So, tough situation.
Yeah.
Not putting much into it. Let's go on to our next challenge.
Oh, we
shall
have a
we?
challenge?
So, in media, I'm going to sound old here for a second. You want to be where the fans are. You want to be where their listeners are. And our social media team has tasked us with TikTok.
What?
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, how about that? So I've been trying to force myself to do a little bit of scrolling on TikTok, particularly the sports world of TikTok, a few times a week. And I stumbled upon a ladder challenge. So we're just going to call it the ladder challenge, but I guess credit where it's due. Some person on TikTok started it. It's a gambling challenge, and it's basically like young gamblers learning about compound interest through gambling.
Oh, okay.
So if you bet, I saw some people doing like you bet $10, and every single day you roll over the winnings. So if you win, you bet that amount, the full amount of your stake in winnings the next day. That way, you can find a relatively probable to win bet, like minus 1,000 or minus 500. I'll give you those implied odds in a second. And if you hit that every day for a certain amount of time, you turn your $10 into 1,000. You turn your $10 into 500. And the deal is you need to hit one quote unquote easy bet every day. And on TikTok, these mostly guys, I watched a bunch of them, each day just pop on and go like, hey, day 3 of the ladder challenge, trying to hit a minus 500 bet every day. Yesterday we hit on the whatever soccer bet. Today we're going into Thursday night football picking blah, blah, blah. And if we do this for 25 straight days, we'll end with a certain amount of money. So being the young, cool, hip guys that we are.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Being the young, cool, hip guy that I am, I said, let's jump on this ladder challenge. Let's see what we can do. So $10, we're not going crazy. We're going to see, we got to test the theory, right?
Yeah.
$10, we're going to aim to hit a minus 500 bet every day. For those of you that don't gamble, the implied odds of a minus 500 bet are 83.33333%. So if you know nothing about the game, what you're betting on, you should be able to just randomly pick one, and it will hit right 83.33333% of the time. If we do that for 23 consecutive days, we'll only do it on show days. We pick one bet, minus 500, every day. If we can get to 23 consecutive days, our $10 will turn into $552.17.
Let's go.
And I figure literally all I do all day is read about sports, watch sports, craft sports opinions. Like that's what we do. So we have to be better than like just randomly picking bets, right? We have to pick ones that we like. We have to be better.
So we think.
So 83.3% plus whatever advantage we have by being sports nerds. If we hit 23 in a row, we'll have $552.17. And if you want to tail us, if you want to come along for the journey, feel free. You have to be able to. Okay. So the way we're going to do it, because Dennis and I are both going to be invested in this, I'm going to come each day with 3 bets at about minus 500 that I really like, and Dennis will pick out of those 3. So I'll provide the multiple choice. He'll pick the final. We'll go ahead and put the bet down, and if it hits, we'll do this all again tomorrow, taking our full winnings. So if we bet $10, we win minus we win a minus 500 bet, we'll have $12 to bet tomorrow. We'll put the full 12 on something else. If it hits, we'll have $14.40 all the way until hopefully we have $550.
All right, let's go.
The options are all Thursday Night Football.
All right.
Falcons, I'm going to give you my argument for each. Falcons under 30.5 points scored is minus 500.
Okay.
Bucks points allowed this season, Washington 20, Detroit 16, Denver 26, Philly 16. They have yet to allow 30 this season.
All right.
Although Denver scoring 26 might worry you. Falcons +9. This is just an adjusted spread. The Falcons are the favorite. They're -2 on the spread, so we've teased it all the way to +9, so they're a 9-point underdog. We can get -503 on that.
Okay.
Then I wanted to go Baker Mayfield. Both quarterbacks 1 or more touchdowns are -500. So if you want to take 1 or more for Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins, those are available. But I do want to clear up some things. Atlanta, touchdown passes allowed this season. Fields, 0. Hurts, 1. Mahomes, 2. Carr, 0. So they're actually averaging less than 1 allowed per game.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins, again, -500. Tampa Bay TD passes given up this season. Jaden Daniels, 0. Jared Goff, 0. Bo Nix, 0. Jalen Hurts, 1.
So they've only allowed 1 touchdown pass this whole year.
So the defenses are pretty good at preventing touchdown passes. But I'll give you those options as well. So Falcons under 30.5, Falcons +9, or either touchdown to throw 1 or more touchdowns. Either quarterback to throw 1 or more touchdowns.
The game is where?
Game is, I believe, in Atlanta.
In Atlanta. Let's go.
Yes, it is in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Oh, they have cool, by the way, I don't know if this changes it. I think they're wearing throwback uniforms, and they have a cool diamond old school like throwback pattern in the end zone.
Okay. That definitely adds more to my thoughts. Let's see. The Falcons have struggled to score this season. They have only scored 10, 22, 17, and 26. So I'm going to go Falcons under 30.5 points.
Beautiful. We will place the bet during the upcoming commercial break. Falcons under 30.5 points scored. That would have hit for every Falcons game, and that would have hit for the opponent in every Bucks game. If we hit this, tomorrow we'll do it again with $12.
Okay.
It's the ladder challenge. Day 1 of the ladder challenge, $10 bet, -500 is the start. If we do this for 23 straight days, we'll have $552.17 roughly. Falcons under 30.5 points scored on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully we're doing this again tomorrow. We'll be back after this. I got to go place a bet.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
The Blue Devils up 21-20, and they got their arms reaching for that bell.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We are almost here at week 5 of the NFL. And coming up on Thursday night, you can win big with FanDuel Squares. Same Super Bowl Squares game you have only known, only way better because you control the numbers you get. You choose them. You can choose as many as you like. You can even bet it live during the game. So what are you waiting for? FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Bet on squares. Choose your squares. Plus, if you're new to FanDuel, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Still feels a little muggy out there this afternoon. We'll see a high of 82 degrees, lots of sunshine, feeling pretty comfortable, but again, still just a touch muggy. Temperatures will be in the mid-60s overnight tonight, and there may be some patchy fog tomorrow morning. But otherwise, tomorrow looks good too, with partly cloudy skies and highs in the low to mid-80s.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones today is down 169 points to 42,027.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. How about this for a football at 4? We're talking Duke football. We do football at 4 year-round. Every single day. Every single show at 4 o'clock, we're talking pigskin. Doesn't matter if there's the middle of the offseason, middle of the regular season, playoffs. We talk football at 4. I bet you could count, definitely both hands and both feet, meaning fingers and toes, the amount of times Duke has even been mentioned in a football at 4.
Duke football? Hell yes, it's Duke football.
We obviously talk Duke basketball. They are involved with so much of our college sports conversations in total. But Duke football is getting its own highlight prime real estate football at 4. You're 5-0, it's deserved.
Hey, when you're the best team in this area, yeah.
And we're going to use that time to ask a question that Duke football doesn't get asked about very often, and they might not love to hear right now. But is Duke on upset alert this weekend? Is Duke football on upset alert? First of all, Georgia Tech is a dangerous team. They're not the best. They're 3-2, but they're dangerous, especially for a team that, meaning Duke, that for the first time is dealing with the emotions of being good. That's the wrong way to put it. But, right, because they've been good in the past. They hosted game day last year, I know. But they haven't been 5-0 for 30 years. 30 years. And this year, at least, it doesn't feel like as much of a novelty. Last year, it did feel like more. What is it? See, there's my journalism school coming through. What's the saying about dog bites man? It's dog bites man. That's not news because that's what's supposed to happen. Man bites dog. That's news. That's unusual. That's like what they teach you in journalism about newsworthy, headlines. Last year it felt like Duke good. Whoa! This year it's like Duke's 5-0, and no one's really talking about it. Many people are underrating them. But because of that, it's their games aren't given the same, I call it artificial energy. When you're playing a night game on ABC, or you have college game day in town, or it's some big bad rivalry, you don't have to bring your own juice, right? Juice is in the room. You walk in there, you're electrified. And that was what last year was about when Duke started hot. It was every game was artificially juiced up. This, and no disrespect to anybody involved in the game, but this Duke-Georgia Tech game, 8 o'clock, ACC Network instead of ABC, at Georgia Tech on the road, not a lot of artificial juice there. I'll use this. This is how Georgia Tech is seen down there. I was listening to a podcast with, it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was Justin Fields, and there was someone else on the pod, maybe like a host. And I was listening to it, and they were talking about who's wide receiver you. And they brought up LSU, and they brought up Ohio State, and they brought up USC. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, who went to USC, was naming people, right? We have Michael Pittman, we have me, we have we have and he brought up Jordan Addison. And they went, no, he's not USC, he's Pitt. He won the Biletnikoff at Pitt. He made his name at Pitt. He just went to USC for 1 year, and he's not USC, he's Pitt. So then, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown answered with, so Jahmyr Gibbs isn't Bama? Jahmyr Gibbs isn't Bama? And they were like, no, he's Bama. No. He made his name at Georgia Tech because Jahmyr Gibbs had started at Georgia Tech. And their response was, nobody watches Georgia Tech. And Justin Fields is from Georgia, and he started his career at Georgia. So he was very, meaning University of Georgia, the Bulldogs. And they went for, not long, but enough time that it was very obvious people from Georgia do not show up for Georgia Tech games. It was very much like, no, he's Bama, because we didn't know what he was doing at Georgia Tech. He was good there, but he was Georgia Tech. That's where Duke is going. That's not to say Georgia Tech isn't a good team. By the way, Jahmyr Gibbs, really good at Georgia Tech. It's not to say Georgia Tech isn't a good team. It's to say you're going to have to bring your own energy. It's to say if you're on upset alert, if you overlook a team, there's not going to be anything there making sure you lock in like it would on a nationally, meaning not ACC network, televised game or game day, or if you were going into a more raucous environment, or even if it was a home night game. This is a new place for Duke. Duke's used to being the upsetting team, not the possibly upset team. Manny Diaz, their head coach, talked about not being a letdown after that University of North Carolina win.
It's always going to be something that's there, so what you do is you watch all the signs. I think there's the physical toll. They had a bye last week. This is our 6th game in 6 weeks. But what we've talked to our players about is that, the standard's a standard, and we didn't set out to go 5-0. We didn't set out to just beat North Carolina. We have much bigger goals. And the standard doesn't really care what happened last week. And really what we drew the connection is being 5-0 is the same thing as being down 20-0. It's only a reflection of what's happened in the past. It does not have anything to do with what happens next. And that's a mistake that everybody makes, just like everybody who might have thought the game was over when it was 20-0. Or players who assume that we're in a place of comfort because we're 5-0. When the ball, hits the foot on Saturday night, we don't get 1st and 5 because we've won our first 5 games. It's going to be 1st down and 10, and so we have to go back to what wins a football game and start the process all over again.
I didn't even bring up yet the fact that North Carolina game is right there in the rearview mirror. And I know they're not as scary as they once were by a wide margin, but home against Florida State is next week. Georgia Tech game on the road right in the middle. And Georgia Tech is going to treat Duke the way overmatched teams treat the favorite. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to keep it away from you. They're going to try to shorten the game. They're going to try to protect the football. They may take a chance on a special team trick play or a surprise onside. They're going to try to treat – they are not going to try. They are going to treat you the way you treat a favorite, because that's what you are, whether you've been there before or not. I give Duke credit. I give Manny Diaz a lot of credit. They've learned to win. 5-0 for the first time in 30 years. Like people talk about in a culture, you need to learn how to scratch and claw and be comfortable in close games and win. I don't care if you're impressed or not impressed with their schedule. They've been in situations where they have to make winning plays, and they've done it thus far. Whether it's Peyton Jones getting a dagger of a touchdown run, basically while in there spelling Star Thomas, who's been really good, whether it's Malik Murphy finding Jordan Moore, whether it's the overtime earlier in this year. Learning to win is not easy, and it appears as if they've done that. It's a whole other thing to learn how to be the favorite, though. You know who I would lean on if I were Duke? Malik Murphy. He can help. He's been there. He's one of the few guys on that team that have been there. Last year, he was thrust into the starting lineup at Texas. He started against number 23 in the country, Kansas State, for a Texas team that was very, very good and ended up playing in some of the biggest games of the year. It was a 33-30 overtime win. No disrespect to Kansas State, but I believe Texas was significantly better than Kansas State in that game. However, Kansas State's not going to get the juices flowing, right? Maybe Malik Murphy learned something in that game that he can pass along. Lean on Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz has coached in big games as an assistant, as a head coach. Lean on him. Manny Diaz had, and this is not a joke, an A-plus halftime speech that helped lead Duke to the comeback win against UNC. I actually retweeted it out, and I rarely do that with the mic'd up stuff or anything. I like to just keep those stories to myself. But I went, this is a great halftime speech. And then guess what? It led to a comeback, so it ages better, right? Duke probably doesn't even put out the speech onto their social medias if they don't complete the comeback. But it was a really, really good kind of perspective-giving speech. He might have to do that again this week. Maybe it's a pregame speech this week, but Duke and Malik Murphy and that defense, which has been very, very good, is going to have to find a way to bring your own energy. Find a way to bring your own enthusiasm and intensity, because the situation won't really give it to you the way it does when you're an underdog. There you go. Dennis is talking, but he didn't have his microphone on.
Thinking about how well Georgia Tech runs the ball and how well Duke has been running the ball over the last few games, this game might literally take 60 minutes.
Might take 60 minutes. You might get like 7 possessions.
Yeah.
So you can't wait 3 of them to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And your defense is going to be tired. You're going to have to be out there for long drives. And you know, the difference might be the 4-point play. Coaches talk about 4-point plays. You may be going, wait a second. Tight end or touchdowns are 7. Field goals are 3. Yeah, see the math? The 4-point plays are maybe it looks like a touchdown, but you make a tackle at the 2. Then your defense bows its neck. They kick a field goal. You gave up points, but that tackle saved you 4 points. It might come down to the end of an 11-play drive. They're down there on the first or 3rd and goal on the 6. That's a 4-point play you have to make there, whether you're exhausted or not. You got to bring your own energy into a game like this. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Dennis, turn your mic on this time.
It's already on.
And there you go. Go ahead and give us what you need to give us.
Hey, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Lower mortgage rates are finally here, folks, thanks to the Fed and Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Now, whether you got your loan last month or even last year, it's time to give Loan Pronto a call and dump that high-rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate fast with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi, so get started. Use this opportunity to get cash out and wipe out your credit cards. You can do a cash out refi and get 50, 75, 100 grand or more out of your home. Use that to pay off all your high interest debt and end up with just one low monthly payment. If you act now, You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well, so call now. Get your rate quote in a matter of minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. VA Streamline loans are also available with Loan Pronto. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We're going to come back with cons and cons. What are you most confident about? What are you most concerned about for the Carolina Panthers after 4 games? We'll give you our answers. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Any win early in the season for the Jets is consequential. Think about what a hot mess they were last year. This is them proving to themselves that they can get it together, that they can be a functional franchise, that they can be a functional offense and have a functional quarterback. We have not seen this from the New York Jets in a long time.
Unsportsmanlike.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples can print everything for my business.
Sure can.
And the quality is guaranteed?
Absolutely.
Plus, you'll beat any price quote. Is that right?
For sure.
How about this one?
We'll beat it.
Can you print menus, signs, and flyers?
Sure can.
How about blueprints?
No problem.
What about red prints?
Not a real thing.
What if they were?
We'd print them, and they'd look amazing.
Now at Staples, print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. Ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details and staples.com/price match for in-store price match guarantee.
With Wendy's, breakfast burrito is everything you want for breakfast. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, bacon or sausage, all rolled up into one warm tortilla. Want the boss of breakfast burritos? Gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
This report is brought to you by Macy's. Don't miss Macy's VIP sale. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends and save 15% off skincare, makeup, and more. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply. Now at Macy's.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
Join Bailey's Fine Jewelry for an extraordinary Rolex event on October 11th and 12th. Whether you're a seasoned watch collector or a first-time buyer, this is a watch show you cannot afford to miss. Bailey's pre-owned Rolex show will feature styles like the Rolex Daytona, Submariner, and iconic collector pieces like the Pepsi and Hulk. Mark your calendar for Friday, October 11th and Saturday, October 12th, and make your way to Bailey's Fine Jewelry in Raleigh's Village District. Learn more at BaileyBox.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Text keyword green, GREEN, to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Riley Green at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on June 14th. Once again, for Riley Green tickets, your chance to win, text keyword green, GREEN, to 919-860-5326. Before we get to cons and cons, I learned some information over that commercial break that is rattling my brain. It's not sports related, but kind of is. The musical artist known as Eminem He's going to be a grandfather. When did that happen?
Oh! Oh!
Eminem is like 25 and he's a rapper, isn't he?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
When did he's Haley, who he wrote a bunch of songs about, and his, cute little girl and music videos.
Still is, right?
No, she's apparently married. She's got this is a makes like the timeline makes sense. And if you look at things, Eminem's daughter Haley has announced her pregnancy. The reason why I say it's kind of sports related, I guess it was released in some kind of music video. This is how she let him know, and she gave him a Detroit Lions jersey that says "Grandpa" on the back. That was the way he learned he's going to be a grandfather. Where does the time go? Julius Peppers this weekend is going into he's having the Chapel Hill. I guess when you go into the College Football Hall of Fame, then that season there's one on campus at your school celebration that you get to take place, and there's pomp and circumstance. That's this weekend for Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers was in the Final Four 2 years ago. What is going on here?
Yeah, I think the Panthers just drafted him, right?
What is happening?
Is he on the injury report?
Honestly, if he were willing, I think you could get him for.
He might be their best edge rusher right now.
I think you get 15 snaps. Could you give us 15, Julius?
I mean,
do they take you out of the Hall of Fame if you wait your 5 years and then start playing again? But still, my point is, time goes by. Eminem's going to be a grandfather. Julius Peppers is getting his Hall of Fame inductions out of the way. Seems like he has a Hall of Fame induction every week. It's just different Hall of Fame, different celebration. Obviously deserved, but still, just makes you feel old. And then there's someone out there going what are you talking about? I watched, Pete Rose play and he passed away the other day. There's, I know we're not the oldest people, but sometimes you feel like it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's jump into cons and cons.
Confidence.
What are you most confident in? What are you most concerned about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers? I'll lead off as usual. And as usual, hey, I have good news and bad news. Which do you want first? You always take the bad news first. We'll start with concerns. Here's my I have a theme, okay? You all know I overthink things. I've got a theme. The theme is starting now, I would say starting going into week 5, confidence has to come with at least some production.
Mm-hmm.
I'm past the point of being confident in potential or he's pretty good or, his draft pedigree was high. 4 games in, if we haven't seen something, I'm not going to consider you something I can be confident in. I used this example earlier. I don't think Jets fans should be confident in Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, I believe, is by far their most talented wide receiver.
Yeah.
I still believe in his long-term health and long-term star ability in the NFL, but he's now gone through 4 games and hasn't done anything. So I don't think you go into a game with, all right, well, at least we know we have Garrett Wilson making plays. It's by this point, you have to show us something to be confident. Thus, the opposite is true, right? Let's go middle school math. If this is true, what is the inverse? That is also true. If you haven't shown anything, I'm going to be concerned. I'm concerned with the Panthers' pass rush. I'm concerned with the Panthers' edge rushers. I'm concerned with the people you pay money to get after the quarterback. They have 5 sacks total this year.
Yeah, it's not good.
4 from guys they still have on the roster.
Yeah, there's that.
Ekuliota got 1, and then he got cut. Then he got brought back to the practice squad. Then he got cut from the practice squad. So they have 4 sacks from players that are still employed by the Carolina Panthers. They've played 4 games. You're getting 1 sack. 1.
And one of those sacks was Jadeveon Clowney when the game was already out of hand against the Raiders.
I can tell you this. Earlier today, we did the ladder challenge.
Yeah.
So I was searching for tonight's Thursday Night Football game bets that are minus 500, minus 1,000. You'd have to go back and listen to figure out why. But I was looking for bets that are extremely likely to hit. Guess what? 1+ sack for each quarterback, meaning 1+ sack for Kirk Cousins, 1+ sack for Baker Mayfield, was too likely of a bet to hit. We couldn't use it because it was more than minus 1,000. It was like minus 1,800 to get one sack on each quarterback, meaning separately. These are two separate bets. It's not like a parlay. But one sack was so likely you couldn't even really make any money from it. It's bet $10, win $10.25 style, meaning get paid out, win a quarter. That's what it was. That's what the Panthers are averaging with players still on their roster. So with confidence comes production. With an extreme lack of production comes no confidence. Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, talked about how maybe it's the early down stuff that'll lead to the turnover opportunities. Here's Evero.
So much is made about third down and, making plays and making sacks and the fumbles and the interceptions and all that stuff. But, to get yourself to those positions, you got to be better on early downs. And so, I actually have a higher value on first down because we need to, if we could get people to be, if we limit them on first down, we're going to be playing a lot of pass downs, and that's when those takeaway opportunities are going to present themselves. And so we got to be better on early downs. We got to plan better. I got to do better. We got to play better, and we all understand that.
How about this? You win your individual matchups. Mm-hmm. How about this? There's too many guys on this team that can be blocked one-on-one. And the quarterback can be comfortable with it. Right? If you have, and I'm just going to name the obvious superstars, but if you have TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, if you have one of these guys and you're a quarterback and and I've been here, you have a stud edge rusher on your blind side and you're like, he's covered. I have a guy to block him. My left tackle has no other responsibility but to block that guy. You still go, should probably still get rid of it pretty quick. I should still not sit back here holding it all day. Mm-hmm. If I'm playing against the Panthers, as long as I know there's a guy, hey, Icky's got him, Taylor Moton's got him, I'm going, all right, I'm good. I can take my time here. As long as I know there's a one-on-one, there's nothing scaring you. I don't know why I used the Panthers offensive lineman to block the Panthers edge rushers in that case. But pick your Bears offensive lineman. As long as I know there's 1-for-1, I'm not worried about it. And that's an issue on defense. You need at least one guy who consistently beats single blocks, one-on-one. Because then you have to either get rid of the ball quickly, which they don't want to do, or put a second man over there, and that makes someone else more of a one-up guy. So I'm worried about the edge rushers. I'm concerned about the edge rushers. They haven't had the production, and quite frankly, that's Jadeveon Clowney. That's a bunch of others. Maybe DJ Wanham changes everything if and when he ever gets back from injury, but that's a big hope and a prayer, and I don't like hope being my strategy.
Here's a stat that backs that up. The Carolina Panthers sack percentage. So you're basing off the number of dropbacks by the opposing team and the percentage of time that the Panthers get a sack. 4.17%. 31st in the NFL. That 4.17% is worse than it was last year.
That'll do it.
Which was around 5.2%.
That will do it.
Hey, consistency, I guess.
and oh, by the way, the Panthers are giving up far and away the most points per game. And I think a lot of that has to do with their inability to get after the quarterback.
My concern is it's kind of tied into what you're talking about. It's the injuries on defense, is because now you're talking about a defense that really wasn't playing that great. Stack on a whole lot of injuries. We know Derek Brown's been out since week 1. Shai Tuttle missed this past game, but looks like he's returning and working his way back. He was limited in practice again today, but the fact that he's practicing is a good thing. But then you also lose Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson on top of that, and you're without Jordan Fuller, and Nick's got his replacements also a little bit nicked up too. It's only gotten a little bit worse. Not a little bit. It's just gotten worse.
I had this. I saw this conversation having with the Patriots. The Patriots are going through some injury woes. Every team has their moment during a regular season when it happens. But the what they were doing, and it was, I think, an analyst maybe talking with a fan on Twitter back and forth. They were trying to decide at the beginning of the year, right, when everyone is 100% healthy. If you looked at your roster and said, let's rank them all by who we can't afford to lose. They were trying to count how many of the Panthers how many of the Patriots that were hurt were in the top 12. And there was like 4 or 5 of them. And they were like, yeah, it's going to be tough. If you're looking at the Panthers the same way, at the beginning of the year, when everybody's who was healthy was healthy, right? I'm not counting like Jonathan Brooks because he started off that way. I think you're looking at just guys in like the top 10 that you would say the Panthers, these are guys in the top 10 of you can't afford to get them hurt. Would have been Derek Brown, who's on injured reserve. Probably Adam Thielen, who's on injured reserve. If you're talking about winning games this year.
Yep.
Probably Adam Thielen. I'm putting Shaq Thompson up there.
Mm-hmm.
I might put somebody like Dane Jackson there, who's been out. Just whoever that other corner was going to be, and he got hurt before they ended up bringing in Michael Jackson to play that other corner spot. Like, they've got a bunch of guys that are not likely to be easily replaced, would be the way to say that. Let's get to the fun part. Let's get to confidence. Confidence comes from production.
Yeah.
So my confidence is Chuba Hubbard.
Okay.
Back-to-back 100-yard games, and in each of those games, at least 4 catches in each. That is production. Like that is, we set these arbitrary, right? The only reason why we get excited about 100-yard games is because like our numerical system goes from 2 digits to 3 digits at 100, right? But it also just happens to work for rushing games where if you're doing that consistently, you're really gosh darn good. And when it comes to a slow 2-game start for Chuba, if you then crank it up and you're now 100 yards a game and now 4+ catches a game, which I think is big for this offense, giving Andy Dalton someone to dump it down to because he's not the most mobile guy in the world. Like, that is production that breeds confidence. Now, I look at everything through a quarterback's lens because that's what I played. But it is, if I throw you the ball and you catch it, you're more likely to get the ball the next time. And if you know, I'll never forget, and I won't even say the name of the guy. Almost did there, just telling the story. But one of our taller wide receivers came to me my first game as a starter ever. And he was older than me. And he came up and he said, "Hey, throw a jump ball, man. I got you." And it made me feel good, right? Like, oh, he's doing the wide receiver thing. But then later in that game, guess what happened? There was a jump ball. He was one-on-one on a little post corner. Tossed that bad boy up there. Hit his hands. Got both hands on it. Was well above the defense. Didn't bring it down. I'm going, I'm probably less likely to give you that 50-50 ball in the future. Chuba Hubbard, on the other hand, is the opposite, right? Hey, we gave you the ball 18 times. Oh, look, you had 100 yards with it. And you scored a touchdown. Great. Next game. Give you the ball a bunch again. Oh, look at that. You had 100 yards with it. Great. Love it. Get in the end zone. Perfect. Guess what you're more likely to do the next week? Give him the ball a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Because you're confident in him and you know he can do it. So with production comes confidence. Chuba Hubbard's been producing. He may not have the name recognition of some of the other running backs in the league, but the production gives you confidence. Dave Canales, the head coach of Carolina, obviously, was asked why the running game has been clicking. This was his answer.
It all starts up front. Austin Corbett getting us pointed, getting all the runs ID'd properly, the quarterback making sure we're getting to the right runs, the guys taking care of the line of scrimmage, working our combos, we need to continue to improve to use our hands, to play with extension, get our hands up so we can work to the second level. But they're establishing a new line of scrimmage. Chuba is running the runs the way they're supposed to be, and then he's making extras. We tell them, just run the run right to the line of scrimmage. Give us that, and then after that, you take over with your skill set, and Miles did a fantastic job as well in those opportunities that he got.
That helps Andy Dalton a bunch. It's a chicken or the egg thing because the running game exploded when Andy Dalton showed up. So it's like, well, did the running game exploding make it easier for the quarterback, or did the quarterback make it easier for the running game? Chicken or the egg, or the egg or the chicken, or the chicken or the egg? Doesn't matter, really. The answer is the offense looks better, so you don't mess with it. What are you confident in, Dennis?
It kind of ties into what you're talking about, just the offensive line as a whole, because the amount of pressure that the offensive line has allowed this season, minimal.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually been one of the best actually in the entire NFL. When you look at what opponents have done, this is again more numbers to back things up. When you look at opponents' sack percentage, so we're looking at the number of dropbacks that the Carolina Panthers have had this year versus the number of times they've actually been sacked. What's that percentage? It's second best in the NFL. Second best in the NFL. Then you also look at yards per carry, 12th in the NFL, or tied for 12th in the NFL. Carolina is at 4.4 yards per carry. You know who's one spot above the Panthers' defense in terms of how terrible it is against the run? It's the Bears' defense.
Oh.
The Bears actually allow 4.5 yards per carry, which is 19th in the NFL. Now we got a top 12 rushing offense going against a 19th rushing defense. I'm banking on the 12 beating the 19. That's what I'm banking on. It's the guys up front. That's my confidence.
I didn't realize the Bears weren't stopping the run. That's good to know for gambling purposes.
Here's the thing, though, is that because they have been playing with leads, opponents have been rushing a little bit less, but they have been running the ball when they do successfully. Even in terms of yards allowed per game, they're still in the bottom third of the NFL.
Chuba Hubbard, offensive line. I feel like we're in the same neighborhood for our confidence. So there you go. Cons and cons. If you have one that we missed or you don't like our answers, feel free to comment in our YouTube Live. We are always live streaming on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. Search for it. Or you can let us know on Twitter or any other way.
Also, Chicago's in the bottom half of the NFL sack percentage as well. Now, they force a lot of turnovers, which is something that they've done, and they're also excellent in the red zone. Excellent in the red zone defensively. They actually have the best red zone touchdown percentage in the NFL.
Is Montez Sweat now? I haven't watched many Chicago games. Is Montez Sweat not living up to that fat contract he signed last year after they traded a second-round pick for him?
I'm not sure of his personal stats necessarily, but the defense as a whole, there's some flaws. Trust me, it's a good Chicago defense, but there is some holes I think that actually play into the Carolina Panthers' strengths.
Yeah, it's 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble.
Okay.
Because I was just wondering. We talked about this off air, and I'll bring it up again. The Bears, their GM has made some questionable decisions outside of getting the world's maybe best trade for the Bryce Young pick. And because of that, he has so much leeway that not many of his other decisions are criticized. His name's Ryan Poles. He's the GM of the Bears. And obviously, we've talked about it ad nauseum. The trade for the Bryce Young pick, they won 100-1. Like it was a rout. It was as bad as it could get. But other than that, he's made some really, really questionable decisions. Things like trading Chase Claypool trading for Chase Claypool for what ended up being the 32nd pick in the draft. There were some very sketchy deals there. The Montez Sweat I always thought was a pretty big swing for him, and I guess it's working out a bit. He's heated up. First 2 games he had 0 sacks. He has had 1 each in each of their last 2 games. So he's heating up, probably making Ryan Poles feel well. But you know, you got to be more than just the one awesome trade if you're going to be an effective GM. You got to hit the singles in addition to the grand slams. Speaking of around the NFL, NFC South center stage tonight.
That's right.
How about that? A little divisional action on Thursday Night Football, and the Panthers should be watching very closely because it's their division. Bucks at Atlanta. I'm going to say it. 2 best teams in the division play tonight.
That they are.
They are technically there's a 2-2 Atlanta team and a 2-2 Saints team. Both the tiebreakers and the eye test go to Atlanta. The Saints looked really, really good through 2 games. Then the brakes have been slammed on their season since then. Tampa Bay's at 3-1. Atlanta's at 2-2. I think they're the better of the 2-2. If Atlanta wins, now we're getting into the big ifs, but this is why the Panthers should care. If Atlanta wins the game and the Panthers beat the Bears, which is the game we were just talking about, they have some advantages in the trenches perhaps, at least offensively. If Atlanta wins and the Panthers beat the Bears would once again be 1 game out of first place in the division. I'm not somebody that's going to get any kind of misconstrued hope that the Panthers can win the division, but I do think it's good for everyone's development if you can stay in the mix, particularly if you just have a bad division, right? Because then you can, every once in a while there's a really bad division, and it might be the NFC South this year, where it's you're not mathematically eliminated until like week 16, and then you end up with the 5th draft pick, and it's like, whoa, you were really playing both ends of the spectrum there. I think that's good for the Panthers to just be in the mix, be playing meaningful games. So I guess go Falcons here. I guess.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of weird to say go Falcons in this situation. But yeah, go Falcons.
Close your nose. Might stink a little bit, but say go Falcons. I'm also looking at this one a bit as like potential versus proven. So many guys on the Bucs are just I mean, they got Super Bowl rings. It's Mike Evans. It's Chris Godwin. It's Levante David. It's like Tristan Wirfs. They're proven. Everything on the Falcons is potential, right? Nobody's bigger, taller, faster, stronger at the tight end position than Kyle Pitts. He just hasn't really caught many passes. No one's bigger, taller, faster, stronger than Drake London. He just has really had like 2 really solid weeks. The Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, he was a generational running back prospect, the best prospect since Saquon. Tyler Algier looks just as good as Robinson in a lot of ways out there on the field. So potential, proven, kind of except the quarterbacks, because I would say Baker's not proven and Kirk kind of is. So it's maybe a little bit of a flip there. But this one's interesting by way of it could decide who wins the division. If Tampa Bay goes 4-1 with a win over what I consider their best competition for the division, that sets them up very nicely for the rest of the season as far as punching their ticket to the postseason and winning the NFC South. I'm not going to say it's a must-win for either team, not even close, but I will throw out there it's much more important than a seemingly Week 5 Thursday night football game should be. And I'll also give you this. Set your fantasy lineups tonight. Make sure you don't get caught forgetting about Thursday night. Oh, man, I forgot I had Darnell Mooney in my starting lineup, and now it's locked. Avoid that. Lastly here, quickly, just a couple minutes. MLB Playoffs going on. Do we have action at the moment here, Dennis?
We do not. You're only your Mets play tonight.
Look at that. 7 o'clock against the Brewers. Need it.
All the other series were sweeps.
Series tied 1-1. So Mets tonight, 7 o'clock. I have some thoughts on the Major League Baseball playoffs and how they've played out thus far, but you'll have to tune into the starting 5 coming up in about 20 minutes if you really want to catch that heat. In the meantime, before we move on to the next deal here, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. I was actually thinking about tomorrow because I know the weather was still a little bit shaky today. Tomorrow, I'm taking the motorcycle in. But here's actually something I always talk about when it comes to maintaining your motorcycle. Make sure it's actually in good shape. Wash your motorcycle. Believe it or not, that's actually one of the best ways long-term to take care of your motorcycle is to make sure you properly and regularly wash your motorcycle. Because you're out there on the road, and the engine's a little bit more exposed, you're more likely to get grease and grime and gunk and all kinds of things in the belts and all that stuff. You got to make sure you maintain your bike, and the best way to do that, just clean the bike properly. You go about a couple 100 miles, make sure you give it a good wash. That's a great way to make sure before you go out on the road to make sure that you stay safe out there on the road. And it's also good to know before you go out on the road that Law Tigers has your back. If you're ever injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth. They know what you're going through after an accident. That's why your case evaluation with them is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I take very seriously the term must win. It's one of the few things I hold sacred in sports media is if you say must win, it better not just be hey, they'd really like to win game. It better be a must win. You heard me a few seconds ago. Thursday night football, Falcons, Bucks. It's not a must win for either team. For somebody in our coverage area, some football team, I am putting the must win stamp on it for this weekend. I'll tell you who next.
Football is on the menu tonight.
Showtime, prime time.
And we're delivering some fresh NFC action.
Here we go. Woo!
It's Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Y'all know what time it is, huh?
Pregame starts at 7:30.
Hey, together, baby. We just do this one play at a time.
The NFL on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med.
We came in for one thing, to win.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union are proud to announce the return of the Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Month. For more than 20 years, we have honored over 200 student athletes that are making a difference on their team and in their community. If you are a teacher, parent, coach, or guardian, nominate your Scholar Athlete today. We will select one winner a month to be featured on 99.9 The Fan and on WRAL News Plus. To nominate a winner, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Congrats to last year's winners. Emma Penkunas of Holly Springs High School, Connor O'Toole of Athens Drive, Kinsey Smith of Fuquay Varina, Patience Ifadon of South Garner High, Carrie Ellen Bryan of Southern Lee, Carson Parker, Apex Friendship, Jason Howard of Wakefield High School, and Eric Stoll of Green Level. We also want to thank all of our other local schools who nominated a student. Apex Friendship, Jordan Matthews, Northwood, Green Hope High, Willow Springs, Jacksonville High, South Granville, Cleveland High, Riverside, and South Johnston.
This is Creighton Blackwell with Coastal Credit Union, and I would like to offer my sincerest thanks to every school that nominated a student for this year's award. This award is more than a celebration of exceptional athletes. It's also a celebration of the schools and the communities that helped them grow into the incredible leaders that we like to celebrate.
Congratulations to all of our Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athletes of the Month. If you want to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326.
North Carolina football fans, picture this. You bet on your favorite player to score the first touchdown, and he throws an awesome block so his teammate can score instead. If this happens, BetMGM wants to give you another chance at the end zone. I'm Victoria Vodnecker with BetMGM, and there is BetMGM's Second Chance promotion, where you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. That's right, bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Everyone knows the most exciting part of football is the score. With BetMGM's Second Chance promotion, you have a chance to keep the fun going after the first player crosses the goal line. Try the first touchdown score bet today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Existing customer offer subject to eligibility requirements. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. I don't know how recent I've given the must-win speech, so I'm gonna give the must-win speech real quick here. There are certain things in sports media that you just gotta, like, if you're in the business, you gotta lock onto. One of them for me is I try not to overplay certain phrases, certain things. There's back before we knew the complicated off the mic stuff, there was a Louis C.K. stand-up bit on the term amazing and how amazing is so overused now. Someone will say, like, oh my gosh, did you look at the wallpaper in the bathroom? It's amazing. And his whole thing was like, we used to reserve that for like the most beautiful sunsets our eyes have ever seen had to be amazing. Now it's like, oh my gosh, you see the screensaver on my phone? It moves. That's amazing. So I have a few like that. One of them is must win. To me, must win has become so unbelievably overused because you'll go into a Monday night game and it'll be, this is a must win game for the New Orleans Saints. And then they lose. And I'm like, well, what happened? If they had to win, how dramatically have you changed your thoughts on this team? If they lose a must-win game, are you now saying they are incapable of making the playoffs? They had to win that game to make the playoffs. Or was it a must-win to keep their coach's job? Or was it a must-win to whatever, stay in the race with their rival? What made it must? So because of that, I very rarely say it. I actually, let me get the one caveat. Any elimination game is must win, and that's obvious. Right? We talked about this a lot in the Canes postseason. Like, if you call game 2 must win of a 7-game series, it better be, if they lose this one, you're now saying they're going to lose the series. Game 7, obviously fits, right? Hey, it's must win. Game 7, yeah, if you lose, you're going home. We know that. So there's a football team this weekend that I'm considering a must win. It's not tonight's Thursday night game. It's not the Panthers against the Bears. It's the Tar Heels. UNC has a must-win game this weekend versus Pitt. Which, by the way, let me make sure it hasn't changed. Pitt is favored by 2.5 points. And it is a must-win for UNC. And going from 3-0 to 3-3 is bad. Don't get like a 3-game losing streak is bad. But that alone doesn't make it a must-win. Being 500, if you go back to the beginning of the year, our expectations for UNC weren't that they were going to win, they weren't going to finish 10-2. So it's not like, that third win means it's impossible to reach their expectations. We weren't that high. So 3-3 is doable. The record alone doesn't scare me that much. It's how it happened. 70 points allowed to James Madison. The 20-point lead that you squandered against Duke. The rumors or misinterpretations or game of telephone that didn't go well after the James Madison game, where there was a report that in the locker room, Mac Brown said, "I'm walking away." It's the quarterback shuffle. And you may say, well, the Max Johnson injury, that's not their – no, it's not their fault. An injury is nobody's fault. You hate them for everybody. But if you recall, going into game 1, I was sitting here into this microphone saying, I don't like the way they're handling the quarterback position. The secrecy, we're not going to name a starter, we're not putting out a depth chart. And then they did it again 3 weeks later with Connor Harrell, who was in the mix with Max Johnson, and Jacoby Criswell. It's not just the losses. It's the unsettled nature of the team in those losses. So UNC must win this game against Pitt. If you're going to be chaotic, you better win games. And if you're not going to be chaotic, I think you win the game. Like if they have a stable game, something normal, which I've been saying they haven't had all season, just a normal game, a lot of Omarion Hampton, few turnovers. You don't have to have a 20-point comeback in either direction. You don't have a quarterback change. You don't have anything crazy. I think they win the game.
It's weird that the Duke game was probably their closest to normal that they've had.
And they gave up a 20-point lead with 8 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
How normal.
Hey, it was normal for about 2.5 quarters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that would have continued, I wouldn't be calling this a must-win.
Yeah.
If you have the strongest culture and the most established leaders, and you have a locker room that has been set in stone with communication and production and everything else, you can survive weekly chaos for 5 weeks. UNC doesn't have that right now. They don't have the strongest culture, the most stable and established leaders. They have a coach that the fan base is calling for to be parted ways with. They have a different quarterback, although this will be the third consecutive week of Jacoby Criswell. They're maybe finally getting some stability there, but they haven't had stability at that position throughout the season. There's been injuries. Kamen Rucker in and out of the lineup. USC doesn't have stable footing right now, and a win is either a mark that they found stable footing or a win would buy them another week to get stable footing. Because right now I watch their games, and there's outside of, I'm pretty sure Omarion Hampton's going to have a good game. Outside of that, there's very little like you expect. And think of it like, I use this example. What was it, two or 3 weeks ago? Kansas City got down 10, and it was a nationally televised game. It was a Monday night or a Thursday night or something, maybe a Sunday night game. They got down 10, and my wife, who watches football because I watch football, but she's not like, studying analytics, just kind of casually was like, oh, he'll come back, talking about Mahomes. And I went like, that is the mark of a great culture, a stable locker room that believes in each other, that obviously 3 Super Bowls and 2 of the last 2 Super Bowls would build. But it's when everybody is just confident and oh, look, I know exactly how this is going to go. They got down 10. He's going to, start doing the little hand thing where he's asking for the play, the Mahomes thing, where he's like, come on, give me the play. Say it in my ears. I want to get to the line of scrimmage. He's going to find Travis Kelce. They're going to win the game. For UNC, is there anything possible that you watch a play, you watch a series, and you just go, all right, this is going to happen? That could be anything. All right, they're gonna get a touchdown. All right, they're gonna run the ball a bunch. All right, now they're gonna win. There's nothing. If so many other teams that are just a little bit in a better situation, there's things you can predict. All right, it's 3rd and 12. All right, they're probably gonna run a draw and punt it because they trust their defense. UNC, it's 3rd and 12. What the heck are they going to do? You can tell me Jacoby Criswell is going to sling it as far as his arm can throw it. You can tell me they're going to hand it off to Amari Hampton. You can tell me they're going to try to find Bryce and Nesbitt. You could tell me they're going to quick kick, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of fair. You could tell me they're going to pick up the first down, and there's going to be a penalty back for holding, and I'd go, that makes sense. There's no way to predict this team. 3-3 is bad. 3-3 when you start 3-0 is worse. 3-3 when you start 3-0 and have yet to have really any form of semblance or any form or semblance of consistency, both in vibe or production. That's where I make this a must-win. Pitt, worthy adversary, right? Which is important in this case, right? They're a good measuring stick. Undefeated, by the way. Not the scariest of schedules, but they did beat West Virginia. They did beat Cincinnati, both in close games. So they'll show up for a game. ACC, there's a lot going on there. UNC must win the game, and I don't take it lightly. If they don't, early next week, we'll have to have some conversations about how much our expectations have been lowered and how certain things that they thought and probably we thought they could go achieve are no longer on the table. There will be real consequences, which have to come with a must-win game. Otherwise, it's just a we'd like to win game, which is every game. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Capital Financial Advisory Group, and of course, that includes Coach Pete. Let's focus in on the completely customized nature of the retirement, complete and total retirement plans that Coach Pete and Capital Financial Advisory put together for their clients. Customized means custom, like not the kind of custom that's become trendy in like the clothing world where they're like, it's tailored. And I'm like, really? You're going to have a tailor come size me up for a t-shirt? And then you go on their website and it's like, how much do you weigh? How tall are you? What's your build? And you just check a couple boxes. Then they're like, boom, here's your custom fit. I'm like, that's not custom fit. That's fake custom. So I'm not talking about fake custom when I talk about Capital Financial Advisory Group. I'm talking about real custom. The kind that you need to go to the tailor to get. Call Coach Pete the tailor in this case. They look at everything you want, everything, all of your goals. They look at your financial situation that's already been established. How much do you have saved up? How much do you make per year? What kind of lifestyle do you want to live in retirement? What kind of end-of-life funds do you want to have to make sure you're not a burden on your loved ones? How much do you want to leave your loved ones? In what way do you want to leave that money to your loved ones? How much real estate do you own? All of this. How much risk do you want in your account? All of this adds up into a completely customized retirement plan. And by the way, we only have so much time here. I could have kept listing things that are unique to you, that are different from me, different from your neighbor, different from your coworker, that need to be custom to you. And they'll go through them all. They'll take their time. There's a multi-step behind-the-scenes process to make sure you don't miss anything. If you're interested and you want that complete, total, and customized retirement plan, give them a call. Capital Financial Advisory Group, 800-691-3215. That's 800-691-3215. If you tell them you heard about it from me, Tim, on 99.9 The Fan, they'll hook you up with one of Coach Pete's best-selling books for free. And if you don't want to call, texting's fine too. Just text my name, Tim, T-I-M, to 600-700. That's Tim to 600-700. 700. We have the starting five coming up next, including what I think is wrong about the Major League Baseball playoffs. Stick around.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk, Panthers Playbook, the Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Dalton is in empty. Here's the snap. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Deontay Johnson.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The final shot at the Championship 4 comes down to a track that's been here from day one. Martinsville. NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Martinsville Speedway. November 1st through the 3rd. Get your tickets now at martinsvillespeedway.com.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy. Whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead. And that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
With all these new winners at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club, we need to decide who's in charge.
We need a top prize winner.
We need someone who's good with words, like us crossword winners.
If elected leader, I will extend the hours during which all winners can use the diamond-encrusted hot tub.
Nice.
New scratch-offs mean new winners. This month's tickets are packed with $370 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.04 to 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. We're looking at mostly clear sky this evening and overnight. Pleasant, 62 the low, and then patchy morning fog is possible later in the afternoon, partly to mostly cloudy. It's still warm. It's still humid. Our high temperature, 83.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check if your money. Dow Jones is down 185 points today to 42,011.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we jump into the starting five, I said this earlier, but obviously many new people listening maybe didn't catch it earlier. Thank you to everybody that contributed to the telethon yesterday. All of our Capital Broadcasting Company family of networks participated. WRAL, the radio stations, obviously 99.9 The Fan. And we were able to raise roughly $650,000 yesterday.
That's awesome. Thank you.
With the overwhelming bulk of that coming between noon and 7:30 during the telethon. So, I mean, needless to say, there's still more that is needed, and $650,000 is not going to solve everything going on in the western part of the state, but that's a big chunk of change. And I did the math on how many donors, how many contributors, divided the money by how many contributors. The average was over $250.
Oh, wow.
So for those of you that contributed, many of you contributed like a real chunk of change. It's not like everybody, which if you threw in $2 or $1, we're still super appreciative. Give what you can. But that's some big contributions from many of you out there. So thank you. Thank you, and I know everybody out there will appreciate it, and we're going to continue to try to get in where we fit in as far as helping our North Carolinian neighbors that have been affected by Hurricane Helene and all of the after effects, and get started on the cleanup and the rebuilds and everything that they need out there. But thank you, $650,000. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Now let's jump into the starting five, starting with number 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Major League Playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs, that is. Ironically, and I don't even know if it's ironic, but the first round, quite a few sweeps. Detroit swept the Tigers. That's an upset, 6 seed over a 3 seed.
Detroit swept the Astros, you mean?
That's what I say.
You said Detroit swept the Tigers.
Yep, that's... Yeah, I can't even... There's no word salad I could give that would swing that one back in my favor. Detroit swept the Astros.
There you go.
Which was an upset, 6 seed over a 3 seed. Royals 2-1 over the Orioles, so it's not a sweep.
No, the final score of that game was 2-1.
You're right. You're right. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm all over the place now.
Yeah, it's okay. I got you. That's why I'm here.
Kansas City swept Baltimore 2-0. And the Padres swept the Braves 2-0. Mets and Brewers, the only series tied. That's 1-1. They play tonight. Winner will face the Phillies.
7 o'clock game.
Here's the issue I have with Major League Baseball playoffs. It is the gift and the curse of baseball playing a 162-game season. The gift is we already know who the best teams are. Right? You don't need the playoffs to decide who the best teams are because we just had 162 games to show us. The thing that the postseason is supposed to do is give us a way to crown that champion, one of the few, right? Because if there's teams close, I don't think 2 games is enough to help that. If you're going to have that little first round, make it a 7-game series. Because then it's more baseball. Baseball is not a small sample size sport. It's why I think it's hilarious every year through the first week of the season. What do we hear? Oh, look at this. Aaron Judge is on pace to hit 97 home runs this year. I'm going, well, that's because you only have a small sample size, and baseball is a big sample size sport. He's going to go a couple weeks without hitting a home run. It's going to happen. Right? It's everybody slumps and ebbs and flows, but through 162 games, we usually know. And in a 2-game series, there's not enough time for the ebbs and flows. I went and did some counting. Second half of the season for the Dodgers. Dodgers, by the way, were the top seed, right? They were the number 1 seed in all of baseball. So I picked them for that reason. And all I did was I went through and I counted how many times in the second part of the season, second half, they were beaten back-to-back games. 8 times. 8 times the best team in the league was beaten in back-to-back games this second half of the regular season, which I just picked the second half because, teams get better and things, so you'd expect if they're the best, they'd be better in the second half. However, there's really only 2 stretches where they lost 4 of 7. 7 games is more like baseball. And you're supposed to find out who the best baseball team is. I'm not saying any of these teams that got swept, like, oh, should have been there, but there's a good chance you give them 7 games, you get a more true test of who's better. If you want the chaos, heck, 1 game, single elimination, let's make this March Madness. Like, if you want the chaos, if you want not always the best team wins, shorten it up, make it crazy, make every pitch wildly valuable. If you want baseball, you got to give them a few more games. I don't like 2 games being enough.
This is a byproduct of expanding playoffs to 6. That's what it is, because they don't want the top seeds to sit too long. Because baseball, you're not used to sitting for 7 straight days. I'm
fine with adding. I don't like going to like half the league is in.
Mm-hmm.
If you add them, you got to add time. You gotta add more games. If you're going to add more teams, you have to scale, add more games. If you don't like the top seed sitting, no buys. I don't know what you do, but 2 games is just not enough. It's the same thing when they used to have the little 1-game like rapid fire deals.
Mm-hmm.
That's not baseball.
Yeah, because it used to be 2 wild card teams that just do a one-off game.
That's not baseball. I like the intensity rising on playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying go best of 13, but I am saying 2 is too few. By the way, let's go Mets. That's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4 all together.
So we just talked about the postseason in Major League Baseball. We're getting the circle of life in sports right now.
Oh.
As one season comes to a close, another season is birthing anew. NBA preseason starts tomorrow. How about that?
That's just weird.
Boston at Denver tomorrow. I believe it is being played in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, there's some games that are being played overseas. I think one of the NBA teams is playing like the New Zealand national team or something like that.
It is being at Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Okay. Celtics, Nuggets. I almost said at Nuggets, but I guess they're just the home team in Abu Dhabi. It's started like basketball and hockey, to me, are the 2 most, it doesn't seem like they had an off-season sports. And baseball probably is that way, but it doesn't feel it. For some reason, hockey and basketball, it's like the Celtics getting started. I'm like, their championship parade was yesterday. Like it really was very, very, very recently. And because of that, I do think it's not a surprise. Basketball, like the dynasties happen more, right? Remember, or even if it's 2 teams, right? The old like. The Cavs and the Warriors were in the finals every year. I think it's in part because like they don't have time to lose momentum. Football feels very much like different seasons, right? Like you could have been good last year, then you take a bunch of months off, you come back, you have to rebuild your team. Basketball, like Boston getting started already, I feel like they haven't lost an ounce of momentum. Jason Tatum's mad from the Olympics. Jaylen Brown's mad from not being picked for the Olympics. And now they're back out there with the same guys ready to go for it again. That's their offseason just isn't enough. Charlotte, if you're wondering, opens up on Sunday in their preseason games, 5 o'clock with the Knicks in town.
Oh, okay. Convenient.
Right now, I do believe the Hornets are in Durham.
Yeah, they actually are doing some of their preseason training and stuff actually at Durham and at Duke.
So if you see like LaMelo Ball walking around,
now you know.
Here in the triangle, he's not lost. He's on a go-kart or something.
Protect his ankle.
Yeah, hey, there you go. What was that, number 4? Let's get to number 3. Panthers practice today. They obviously have a game coming up this weekend against Chicago. Dennis, any news out of practice?
Few guys coming off of the injury report, or I guess improved on the injury report, and some guys actually got added today. So, for example, Miles Sanders, running back, was added due to illness. Wide receiver Jalen Coker did not practice today because of a foot. He practiced yesterday, didn't practice today because of a foot injury. Tommy Tremble didn't practice because of a knee injury. Taylor Moton had his vet day. But some guys that are actually practicing that missed last week, for example, Shai Tuttle, Damian Lewis, those guys are working back after having missed last week. Shai Tuttle actually having missed the last 2 weeks. But some other guys that are coming back as well. Deontay Johnson was limited in practice today. They're just working his way back from a little minor ankle thing. Also, some guys that had vet days yesterday, like Ashawn Robinson, Troy Hill, Jadeveon Clowney, all back in practice today too.
You know what I hear?
What's that?
You said Jalen Coker's out?
Well, he did not practice today because of foot injury.
And you said Tommy Tremble didn't practice?
Because of knee injury.
Targets for Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
Tommy Tremble is a guy when he's out there at tight end. He gets a couple looks a game. Jalen Coker is somebody that I think they're excited about, young player. Did get a target on a deep ball.
He did.
In the Bengals game. If those guys and Tremble, I think, is one that if he gets healthy 10 minutes before the game, they'll feel comfortable putting him out there.
Sure.
But Coker, if he misses a practice or two in the week, I wouldn't be surprised if that severely limits their comfort with him out there in a game because he's so young and inexperienced and just isn't the veteran that Tremble is, which would mean, like, hey, Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson, if Deontay Johnson's healthy enough, you guys aren't coming off the field very often, and that just leads to more opportunities for them.
And Jatavian Sanders, your guy.
He deserves looks in the passing game. I assume, and this is now me inferring a few things, he must need some time, and this is always what they say about tight ends and running backs. They're usually significantly further advanced in their NFL readiness in the stuff where they get the ball in their hands than they are the pass protections and the run blocking and everything else. So, like, running backs are usually really good when they get the ball handed to them. They have instincts. They've been doing that their entire life. Usually far behind in, like, where do I fit in this pass protection based on the decisions of the offensive line. And tight ends are the same way. You want to send Jatavian Sanders on a route? You want to send him on a little corner route flag right now? I think he's ready. I think he's probably one of their better options at tight end to go chase down a deep ball. The problem is, I assume, and the thing that's keeping him from, being a more used player is occasionally he's going to have to stay in and help with the pass blocking, and that may take some time. Or run blocking, and that may take some time. So once he gets that, I assume you'll see more Jatavian Sanders because I'm really high on his talent as a pass catcher. Unless you want to be Travis Kelce, then you don't worry about blocking at all.
Nah.
Which, by the way, he passed Tony Gonzalez for most catches in Kansas City Chiefs history.
Really?
I don't know why, but I felt like Tony Gonzalez put that record like so far in advance, so far away. But I guess Kelce's been 7 years of pretty darn high production. And Gonzalez played 5 years in Atlanta. I thought that was like 2 with one of them.
No, he played a long time.
With one, I thought it was like 2 with one of them being you probably should have stopped last year. He had like a whole career over there in Atlanta. Dave Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, was asked about the younger guys stepping in. Obviously, they've had some injuries, especially on that defense. Here's Dave Canales.
Yeah, let's go. Next guy's up. They got to do it. They see the plays in practice. They got to feel the issues, and make sure that they're talking. Okay, so we don't want silence out there. Making your calls right, wrong, or indifferent. Make those calls quickly. And the look offense did a fantastic job of breaking the huddle fast, challenging those guys to get the calls out in a timely fashion. But that's just exactly what they need, and they just got to play football. So that's what we're hoping for.
They just got to play football. It's a little more than that sometimes. But yes, go for it, young guys. Get out there and let it fly. That's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us.
Panthers will be anxiously and closely watching tonight's Thursday night football game because it's 2 of their division mates. Tampa Bay at Atlanta tonight. That'll be the Amazon game. You can hear it, I believe, right here on 99.9 The Fan. I'm getting the yes. You can hear it right here on 99.9 The Fan. Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. You go back to, let's say like 3 or 4 years ago, and you say Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins are going to be playing on Thursday Night Football, and you're like, all right. And then you go, it's not the Browns and it's not the Vikings. What the heck happened? And they're both going to be on $100+ million contracts. What in the heck happened? But it did, right? So Tampa Bay with Baker, which I do have to you can like or dislike Baker Mayfield, the quarterback. And I think he is one of the more polarizing as far as do you think he's good or do you think he's not quarterbacks in the league. Kirk's probably another one of them as well. Some people think he's great. Some people think he's not great. Baker Mayfield is, and I'm not saying this as an insult, I'm saying this as a compliment. He's funny. There's a video, it's like a half hour. I watched bits and pieces of it today. Of Eli Manning is producing a show called The Undercovers based on like his old Chad Powers deal where Eli dressed up as a walk-on at Penn State and went to the walk-on tryouts and obviously impressed. Baker Mayfield went undercover as a gentleman by the name of Gus Swayze. He had a mullet. He had a mustache. It didn't look like him. I'll give him credit. It didn't look like him. And he participated in a fan experience with other season ticket holders where they got a tour of the facility. It's funny. He has comedic timing. It's pretty good. You go back to, do you remember the commercials? The insurance commercials where like the Browns stadium was his home and he was being the homeowner?
Mm-hmm.
He's got some chops. I'm just saying he's kind of funny. You hope if you are a Bucs fan that we're not laughing tonight because it's a different kind of funny when he gets going the other way. If you're a Panthers fan, I think you're rooting for the Falcons.
In terms of divisional standings, yes.
If the Falcons win this game and the Panthers beat the Bears this weekend, then both the Falcons and the Bucs are 3-2.
Correct.
And the Panthers would be 2-3.
Correct.
So they'd be right there in the mix. Saints are also 2-2.
Yeah.
So if they won, the best they could do is 3-2. So this is
real jumbled.
This is a division. Remember what they used to be Coastal Chaos in the ACC?
Oh yes,
Coastal Division Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, NFC South Chaos is just a different.
Give it to me.
Different animal of the same beast.
Give it to me.
It's probably a case of there's no real good teams rather than like, oh, they're all so good it's competitive. But either way, I'm here for the chaos. I like it. Fan of it, especially if you're the Panthers and you're just trying to like hang around. Still that game, quickly, Dennis, who do you like?
Well, give me Atlanta in this one. Low scoring, 24-20.
I think Tampa's more proven. I think they win, but Atlanta has more talent. I mean, I don't think that's doubted. Just they haven't put it together yet. Also, Raheem Morris, their coach, gave me one of the biggest pet peeves a coach could tell me. Because Kyle, I don't know if you were aware of this, Kyle Pitts did nothing last week. He had
the tight end for the Falcons?
0 catches.
Yeah.
Raheem Morris hit the media with stats are for losers.
Okay.
Which is occasionally a hardo thing a coach says. I hate it. Do you know why? Because they're not. Stats help. And analytics, they help. Are they the be-all, end-all? No. But they're darn sure not for losers. That's usually what a coach says right up until another team that uses analytics beats them. If a tight end has 0 catches, stats are for losers. Or that tight end wasn't good enough, or the quarterback wasn't good enough, or the play calling wasn't good enough. Something was holding back a talented pass-catching tight end from catching passes. It's not stats are for losers. Famous last words in a lot of cases for coaches.
Stats are for losers. Okay.
That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
Mean Girls, apparently.
Yep.
I don't know. How can we get from Mean Girls to Carolina Hurricanes? Is there a natural trade move there? Was there a segue that I missed?
No.
Because I was racking my brain pretty hard. Canes last night, preseason game. What is it? Preseason game number 4 for the Canes.
That's right. They're back in action tomorrow. At
Lenovo. They did play Nashville last night. They lost 6-4, if that matters at all. Dennis, what are you taking away from that game?
Guys walked away healthy, which is awesome. But I also was pretty impressed seeing Felix Unger-Sorum going out there against some of the best players in the NHL. For example, he's 19 years old, literally just turned 19 less than a month ago. And he's out there against one of the best to ever do it in Steven Stamkos, who's on his hip, walks right around him, and then roofs one.
Sometimes being 19, it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
He thinks it's normal.
Exactly.
Like he doesn't know that's
is just what I do.
Yeah.
So that was a highlight reel goal. He also had a goal and 2 assists yesterday total on the Unger Sorum. And it was cool that one of his assists came on a power play to Bradley Nadeau, where he basically gave him like a no-look pass, and Nadeau just teed up a one-timer like Alex Ovechkin and just drilled one. I was like, I want to see that for the next 15 years.
Do you know what else is exciting about Felix Unger Sorum?
That he's very, very young.
62.5% face-off win.
Hey, let's go.
He had 5 opportunities. He won 3 of them. It's small sample size, but this is a guy that's been playing center for like a month. And he's 19 and he's adjusting to not only the position, but again, to playing NHL competition and being in practice. Unger Sorum had a very good night last night. I have been saying throughout the entire preseason and even into the offseason, if I had my druthers, there would be a rookie in the opening day lineup for the Carolina Hurricanes. In the past, I have said I don't care which one it is. I think there are 3 that are in the running. One, Felix Unger Sorum, another, Jackson Blake, and the last, Bradley Nadeau, who you mentioned. I'm obviously, and I say this often, preseason, take it with a grain of salt, but if you're going to have a rookie in the opening day lineup, you kind of have to use the preseason to decide which one. Up until last night, I had Jackson Blake as the guy who I'm like, if it were to end now, I think he would be the one I would want up. He's been productive. He's probably a more NHL-ready body, just a little bit thicker of a dude. Last night, if you can overreact to a preseason game, Unger Sorum looked like he was saying, not so fast, my friend. I have some ability here. And the one thing that Unger Sorum does have that Blake and Nadeau don't is last year's training camp at the NHL level.
Yep.
The other 2 were playing in college. He was up here, and he turned heads last year at training camp, which was even more impressive because he was like 18 years old. This year he's 19, which is still wildly young, but obviously 18 is a little bit more impressive. So if he starts turning heads, if he picks it up for the next, how many more preseason games do they have? Is there 4 more?
2 more.
2 more? Really? Wow. It's going fast.
This Friday and Saturday. That's it.
If he closes well and turns heads again, then he's done it 2 consecutive years, and you start to go, maybe our heads should be looking at him in the first place, and we shouldn't have to turn our heads to figure out where he is. So, I still say one of the rookies. If it's not Unger Sorum, I'm not going to go like, oh gosh, it's such a wrong decision. I would trust the guys that see him in practice. Obviously, Rod Brindamore and Eric Tulsky would be heavily involved in that decision. But Unger Sorum did well for himself last night.
He did. He just needs to physically grow.
And I get
he's
it.
Still a child.
That could be like the tough conversation to have, which would be, hey man, you played great. We love you. We'd love to have you up here. We need 15 more pounds. And it's nothing to do with how you played. It's nothing to do with your production. It's nothing to do with what you look like in the preseason. We feel you need 15 pounds. And if that's the case, that's the case. Right? That just is what it is. Sometimes it's that simple.
Not to read too much into this.
No, let's read too much
but
into
you're
it.
going
With the sports radio, all we do is read too much into it.
Tomorrow's game at home against Tampa Bay, you're going to see pretty much the NHL lineup. Jackson Blake's going to skate tomorrow.
Look at that.
Unger Sorum and Nadeau are not playing tomorrow. My guess is those guys are going to play on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So,
but you got Jackson Blake's playing tomorrow.
As soon as I knew I shouldn't have overreacted to that one game from Unger Sorum. I could have been right this whole time.
Just saying.
No, let's look too much into that. I do think that's meaningful. I think that's, for lack of a better term, probably an audition, a little dress rehearsal, little like, let's see how it looks, let's see how it feels. And Rod and everybody will make the decision from there. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, we need to get some numbers game contestants. If you win the numbers game, you can win a pair. You will win a pair of tickets to the SAS Championship at Prestonwood Country Club, which is taking place. I just got to hold up in my brain.
We're changing up actually part of the SAS Championship. So
Okay.
so you get tickets to the SAS Championship, and you'll have access to the porch on 18 for one day of your choice.
All right.
So the porch on 18, just got to pick a day you'd like to attend.
Still, tickets to the SAS Championship, Prestonwood Country Club in Cary. just a different exclusive little access area that you'll have than we've been giving away earlier this week. It's called The Porch, and it's on the 18th green.
The Porch on 18.
All right, Porch on 18. Just pick which day you'd like to attend. Still, they have the choice. All right, they still have the choice. If you want to play, if you want to win, if you want to go to the SAS Championship, which is a Champions Tour golf event, go ahead and call in now, 919-860-5326. I was looking at some of the players expected. I mean, it's Ernie, it's VJ. There's some names going on there. 919-860-5326. Need 2 contestants for the numbers game coming up next.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey everybody, Paul Ihander here from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. NFL Week 5, it's here. And you can start with a chance for a big win on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Think about a single game parlay for the Thursday night football game. We have Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Baker Mayfield, over 250 passing yards. Drake London, over 100 receiving yards. And a Bijan Robinson anytime touchdown. I need you, though, to visit FanDuel.com/Paul. Paul with a capital P, and make every moment more this season. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game with tickets to the SAS Championship, Prestonwood Country Club out there in Cary, Champions Tour Golf on the line. That is the prize. We have Chase and Clayton. Is that Kai and Nightdale? Kai and Nightdale. Want to make sure I'm pronouncing names correctly. As always, we need a question to see who goes first. I'm going to go back to the one we had yesterday because it was fun and I enjoyed it. Chase and Clayton, we're going to ask you a question. If you give us our answer, we pick our favorite answer. That contestant gets to go first. The question is, you're getting a pizza just for yourself. Nobody else needs to be involved. You don't have to compromise and get something everybody likes. Just for you. Draw it out for us. Paint the full picture. What kind of pizza are we getting?
So I think I'm going to go with all pepperoni.
All right.
And you have to include the mini pepperonis inside the spaces.
Inside the spaces? I'm not even fully sure I understand.
In between. So, like, when you put the pepperonis on there and there's like little spaces of cheese, you have to put the mini pepperonis in there. So
okay. So it's like pepperonis and extra pepperonis.
Pepperoni galore.
All right.
Okay. Fill in the gaps. Okay.
We've very thought out answer. Kai and Nightdale, we go to you next with the same question. You're getting a pizza just for yourself. You don't have to share with anybody. What toppings? What's it look like? Give us the full rundown.
All right, here's what I got. I've got stuffed cheesy bread crust, pepperoni pizza with some red flakes on top. That's my ideal pizza.
All right, very similar. Slightly different. There are a few key details.
What kind of crust was that, Kai?
Stuffed cheese crust. They put cheese
stuffed
in the
cheese.
Crust,
so like cheesy
like
stuffed.
Okay, so stuffed crust.
Right.
Okay, all right. This is a tough one.
Okay.
This is a very tough one. That's a lot of pepperoni that Chase had. And I actually like the idea of, like, hey, having the small pepperoni, fill those gaps. I like it. Stuffed crust.
Could be a little
could be a little too much, but stuffed crust with pepperoni and some red pepper flakes on it, I think I might have to go with Kai on this one.
You're a red flakes guy.
I do like a little bit of red flakes on my pizza. A little bit of crushed red pepper. I'm for it.
All right. Again, two good answers, but
Very similar.
Kai wins by a
flake.
A flake. You got there first. I was on the way. Just didn't get there. Kai, you get to go first. Don't worry, Chase. You'll have your chance. Kai, are you ready to pick your category?
Yeah.
All right. The categories are NFL Smiths, all players whose last name is Smith. NFL More Dubs, all players whose last name starts with the letter W. Baseball Hall of Famers, because we're in the playoffs. And NHL Canes and Whalers. Smiths. All right. We'll go all players in the NFL or have played in the NFL whose last name is Smith. I'll give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Steve Smith, Carolina Panthers.
Who?
Steve Smith, Carolina Panthers.
Yes, 89.
Correct.
89.
Emmett Smith, Dallas Cowboys.
21.
Incorrect. Jimmy Smith, Jacksonville Jaguars.
89.
Incorrect. Emmett Smith, Dallas Cowboys.
20.
Incorrect. Jimmy Smith, Jacksonville Jaguars.
31.
Incorrect. Emmett Smith, Dallas Cowboys.
24.
Incorrect. Jimmy Smith, Jacksonville Jaguars.
71.
Incorrect. Emmett Smith, Dallas Cowboys.
24.
You got Steve Smith with 89, so you didn't get shut out. That is a 1. Emmett Smith with the Dallas Cowboys, number 22. That one, some NFL fans are going to be scratching their head about. Jimmy Smith, I thought you knew Jimmy Smith because he came in the 80s quick, and I was like, all right, he's close. He wore number 82, but then you went into the 30s. There was a 70 in there. Still, you got one. Again, like I said, didn't get shut out, and a tie goes to you by way of going first. So go ahead and sit on the line, and we'll see if it holds up.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to Chase and Clayton. Chase, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, the categories remaining for you are NFL More Dubs, all players whose last names start with W, Baseball Hall of Famers, and NHL Canes and Whalers only.
Let's do NFL More Dubs.
All right. All players whose last names start with W. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. You need 2 for the win. Any last-second questions or clarifications?
All set.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Charles Woodson, Oakland Raiders.
24.
Correct. Reggie White, Philadelphia Eagles.
91.
Correct. Christian Watson, Green Bay Packers.
9.
Correct. Garrett Wilson, New York Jets.
5.
Correct. Vince Wilfork, New England Patriots.
71.
Incorrect. Vince Wilfork, New England Patriots.
77.
Incorrect. Vince Wilfork, New England Patriots.
76.
Incorrect. Vince Wilfork, New England Patriots.
75.
Let's go! I had like fears of you going 78, 77, 76, 79. And I was like, you were moving in the right direction, and you stuck with it. You got 75.
26 seconds.
26 seconds. That's a good showing. Woo! That's a perfect score. They do seem to come in bunches. We had one just the other day. Now we get another. But congratulations, Chase. You are obviously the winner. You get the SAS Championship tickets with access to the porch off the 18th green. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate the show.
Yep, of course. Thank you very much. Stay on the line. Dennis has some info he needs to get from you. I do want to, if you're playing along at home, Reggie White did have two numbers. The contestant guessed 92, I believe. 91 would have also been accepted. He wore both. And Garrett Wilson, same thing. The caller guessed number 5. That was correct. He wears that this year. In years past, he's worn number 17 for the Jets. So both of those would have been accepted. Also, I want to go back to the first contestant there for just a second. Emmitt Smith, number 22. Tell me someone else remembers this. Obviously, you remember Emmitt Smith, number 22, from his playing days. But more recently, like within the last 10 years, there was a commercial that ran a ton. And I don't know what it was for. I don't know what Emmitt Smith was doing, but he was in an office, and the password, they showed it on the screen for like he was, logging in, probably had to do with like cybersecurity or something, was Catch 22. And then he looks at the screen like, because obviously his number's 22. Every time I see an Emmitt Smith number 22 jersey, I think of that dumb commercial, and I can't get it out of my head. I have absolutely no idea what it was for, so it's not necessarily a great commercial because it didn't introduce anything in the market to me. But Emmitt Smith, number 22, instead of going to like all-time leading rusher, instead of going to Super Bowls, Troy Aikman, the triplets, Jerry Jones, I go straight to this stupid commercial from like 8 years ago where his password was Catch 22 because he typed it in. It's funny how the brain works.
It's interesting. He's one of those guys that you'll forever remember him as a Dallas Cowboy, but it's like, oh yeah, he played those last couple years in Arizona.
And another weird memory of his just popped up. If I'm not mistaken, he's obviously the all-time leading rusher. Mm-hmm. I think he broke the record on like a 4-yard gain. And he broke it by a yard or two, and then the next play he lost a yard or two.
Yeah.
And it was like they like stopped the game, did a big ceremony, gave him the football, shook his hand, Jumbotron, and then the next play like he went beneath the thing and he had to go break it again. And
imagine that, breaking the record twice.
I was gonna say I don't remember if he actually fell behind, but I'm pretty sure like
I think he did.
He moved in the wrong direction, and I would have I to this day I think it would have been comedy if he broke the record by a yard or two, then danced back, broke the record again, and if they stopped and did the full ceremony again, gave him the football, Jumbotron, right, message from Troy Aikman, like did the whole thing over again, still would have been funny. But that was with the Cardinals. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. With the temperatures cooling and actually rain not being in the forecast for any time soon, you're going to see a lot more motorcycles out there on the road. I know as a motorcycle rider myself, even when I'm driving over the last few days, I'm seeing more bikes on the road. So I'm just giving a little caution out there to everyone when you're in your car. Be cognizant. There's going to be more motorcycles on the road, especially during this time of year. It is riding season, folks. So make sure you just stay vigilant, I guess you could say out there. Share the road with your fellow bikers. But also one thing to make sure, if you are someone that is stepping on a motorcycle and maybe you haven't done so in a while, make sure your bike is in proper working order. Your bike is obviously up to inspection. Your insurance is all up to date. Maybe that's something you haven't checked in a while, but also make sure your gear is in proper working order as well. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, unfortunately, Law Tigers has your back. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Insurance companies want to pay you the least amount of money possible, whereas Law Tigers, they're riders too. They understand what your bike is worth, what your gear is worth, what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation with Law Tigers is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. When we come back, we earlier today gave out some quarter-season report cards for the Panthers. It turns out there's a few more subjects. We're going to give some more grades coming up next. Stick around.
keep pounding. Panther Talk, Panthers Playbook, the Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Dalton is in empty. Here's the snap. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Deontay Johnson.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Your heart. It's the only one you have. Fortunately, you also have a choice. Expert cardiologists, talented surgeons, highly skilled specialists, all of whom chose WakeMed. Why? The main reason is the same reason patients choose WakeMed. Everything you need for the best possible care is right here. Learn more at wakemed.org. WakeMed Heart and Vascular Physicians. Your heart, your choice.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Who's ready for some football? Celebrate the season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints at Carolina Ale House. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is the go-to spot for every game. From Honey Buffalo to 5 Alarm to Carolina Barbecue, we've got wing sauces for all flavors. If you're feeling hungry, don't forget about our brisket French dip or Philly cheesesteak. Grab a front row seat, sip on your favorite beer, and watch your squad with us. Carolina Ale House. Ale yeah.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle. Unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. That means this is the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get $50, $75, even $100,000 in cash. Use it to pay off all your credit cards, personal loans, car loans. You'll end up with one payment each month, and for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. And if you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you could even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. One more reminder here. Thursday Night Football right here on 99.9 The Fan tonight. And if you're a sports fan, which I assume you are, like we are, 99.9 The Fan has just a boatload of live sports play-by-play coming up over the next, several weeks, including this week. We're going to get to the point where hockey's going. We're going to get to the point where We're mixing in college. We're mixing in NFL. We're mixing in basketball once that gets started. There's really no stopping any of it.
Yeah, we have a Canes game tomorrow night. There's a Canes game Saturday night. We have some college football here on Saturday as well. Sunday, we're going to have 4 games here on the Fan because we have the London game plus the 1 o'clock kick, a 4 o'clock kick, and the Sunday night football. Literally all day just going to be football on Sunday here on the Fan.
So
and Panthers over on Mix.
Like I say that to say this. If you ever get in the car and you're like, oh, I want to listen to the game, you don't even have to specify what game it is. The best chance for it is going to be 99.9 The Fan.
And if you want local, whether it's Panthers or NC State, Mix 101.5, our sister station.
Yep, our cohort. So just keep those saved in your presets. Right now, though, we're going to talk a little Panthers. Panthers quarter season report card. Earlier today, we passed out some grades.
We did.
Well, first of all, and when we did it earlier today, I was kind of the teacher. I was assigning the grades. Were there any ones that stood out to you? I mean, just to give them to you. Offensive line was an A, as good as you could get. They've improved. They're playing really well. Xavier Leggett was a B. He's improving, getting better. Deontay Johnson, I gave a B+, and basically said your production is probably an A, but I see more potential in you. So this was me being like my motivational teacher from a movie where I'm like, I see more in you, Deontay. You got 15 catches, 200+ yards, 2 touchdowns over your last 2 games. That's A production, but I 27 targets with 12 incompletions headed your way. I need better. There was Jadeveon Clowney. He's, C-, moving towards a D. And I just need more participation from him. Don't notice him that much. So we did that. Were there any ones that stood out that you thought I was being too harsh of a grader, or maybe I needed to
What was your grade on Dave Canales?
Dave Canales, I gave a B.
Okay.
I gave a B and the explanation was, for a head coach, I feel like every Sunday, every game is a test.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them are equally, until you get to like games that impact playoffs or something if you're a contender, every game is, exactly 1/17 of your grade. It's not like, hey, week 8's a midterm, so it's worth 50% of your grade. It's like everyone is just one slice. The first 2 games were about as low as I've given a grade, right? It's first 2 games, you gave up more points than any first 2 games of a season in franchise history, and you scored fewer points than any game first 2 games of a season in franchise history. So if you get like a 13% and a 21% out of 100 on your first 2 tests, even if you do really well on your next 2, which he did, you can get an A and a B for the win against the Raiders and the loss to the Bengals. Your average is still coming in at like 50%. Right?
Yeah, still not great.
So with more games, if you continue playing the way that you've played in the most recent 2, those first 2 games won't hurt you as much as far as like bringing your GPA down. But, I mean, for right now, 50% of your games have been horrendous. So I gave him a B almost as a middle ground between like a D- and an A+. He's like right there in the middle.
Okay.
Probably could have been a little bit harsher, maybe gone B- or C+, but I was feeling he's optimistic, so I was feeling optimistic.
Hey, first time doing it.
He's a pleasure to have in the classroom.
He really is.
He
works hard.
You ever get that one? You like didn't get a great grade, but then the comments were like, a pleasure to have in the classroom, wonderful student. I'm like, well, then what the heck's with the grade, man?
It's like, well, you didn't do well, but at least you're not a clown.
Yeah, like I can. It's like I'm giving you a C, but I don't want your parents to be mad at you.
Yeah.
So, like, I believe you're working. So either way, right? Regardless of what it is, Dave Canales is. I mean, he's Jekyll and Hyde at this point. So I put him somewhere in the middle. That's kind of what I was thinking for my grade of Dave Canales.
Okay, I think there's a few other obvious grades that are out there. Thinking like Andy Dalton, you're probably giving him an A.
Andy Dalton, yeah, I'm giving him an A, but with the added caveat that like he's a transfer. Like he came to class midway through the semester. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's also actually no. This is what it is. I'll use my own personal experience. So I transferred between my sophomore and junior year of high school. Moved from Hawaii to Maryland, and in Hawaii I took it was an Algebra 2 / trigonometry class.
Okay.
I get to Maryland, and that transferred as a credit. They made me choose either Algebra 2 or trigonometry. Now, I took both, but they said we can't count it as credits for Algebra 2 and trig. So I was like, all right, count it as Algebra 2. And then they're like, all right, then you have to take trigonometry. And I was like, I literally, like, last semester took trigonometry, and now I'm going to have to take it. All right, this is going to be awesome. I showed up, knew everything. Like, I walked in, other kids were asking questions. I was just like, yeah, I don't even, I'm just going to sit here for this hour or whatever it is. That's Andy Dalton. He showed up and was like, oh, this offense is built for a rookie. I already took the rookie quarterback class. Look what I know, right? Hey, guys, watch.
I did the AP course.
Yeah, watch this shortcut that I have for you, because I've been studying this class in Cincinnati for a decade, and for some reason the credit didn't transfer. So he showed up already knowing things that, the rest of the quarterback class in Carolina didn't know. So he's showing off right now, right? Or another example. I took Japanese for like 5 years.
Okay.
You want to know how great I was at Japanese? I got to Japanese 3. In 5 years, I got to Japanese 3. You're supposed to get to 1 a year. So there you go.
There you go.
But I would look around. This was when I was living in Hawaii. Like 3/4 of the class spoke Japanese at home in some form or fashion. And I'm going, this is not fair at all. Like they know this way better than I do, and you're teaching us at the same time. That's Andy Dalton. Like he speaks offense at home, and then he showed up to where everyone else was trying to learn it, and he's just like, oh, I got this. Oh, watch out. So Andy Dalton, yeah, he gets an A with the added caveat that he's like speaking Spanish at home with his parents, and then coming in, he's in like Spanish 2 in high school. It's like, yeah, you already know this.
So Bryce Young gets an F, right?
Hard to give him anything. He gets an incomplete.
How? How is he only getting incomplete?
I don't think 18 games is enough to decide if your number one overall.
We're basing it off of this year.
Well, I definitely don't think 2 games is enough to decide. It's an incomplete. We haven't seen enough. I will say
he got kicked out of the group project.
I will say it's like he got 2 Ds on the first 2 tests, and then he stopped showing up for class.
Yeah, that's pretty much fail.
Like technically, that's an incomplete. Like you gotta show up to get the grade. Truancy, right? The attendance is the issue. But it wasn't looking good. I'll tell you, it's drop out in college, where you get like 3 weeks to drop out of a class, and if you fail the first test, you're like, you know what? No harm, no foul. Dropping this one. I'm gonna go take another elective. That's kind of what that was. He was on the way towards an F, and his advisor said, "Let's just get you out of this class. You know what? To use language as the thing, like Spanish 4 was too much. We're going to put you in beginners, Spanish 1. We're going to start you back there. We got to get you out of this class, though, because you're not doing well enough. You're going to be ineligible. So, yeah, I guess F or incomplete would be the grade. D. I'd go D or incomplete. He did score a touchdown.
Wow. 1.
Hey.
In 2 games.
The rest of the rushing attack didn't get one.
Gee, I wonder why.
You can't defend the running game. The running game was rough in the first 2 games as well. I actually thought Dave Canales, maybe part of his grade, didn't lean on the run enough. But yeah, there were play calling issues I had with Bryce. A D. I'm a D. If we're giving him a grade, a D.
Okay.
Something like a 64.
That's very generous of you, by the way.
To give him a D?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude couldn't throw a pass more than 10 yards downfield.
I think a lot of that was play calling.
Well, I think it's also he couldn't throw a pass 10 yards downfield without it getting picked off.
I mean, you're acting like a 64% is a compliment.
I think it's like below a 50.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. A lot of red marks on those papers.
You're a mean grader.
Well, yeah. I am.
Talk to the dean. This guy's hammering away over here.
Real quick, we got like 30 seconds. J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn, I'm B+.
Okay.
I'm pleased. I think if he didn't get burnt by Quentin Johnston on that one play, probably an A-. He's lived up to expectations, especially in the making enough big plays to kind of spark a defense. He's good. I like J.C. Horn. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Speaking of those Carolina Panthers, Panthers-Bears this weekend. This is supposed to be the trade revenge game, right? No one's really talking about it, so we did earlier today, and we're going to replay it for you to start Overdrive coming up in just a few minutes here on 99.9 The Fan. Thursday Night Football here on 99.9 The Fan as well, so keep it tuned. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 to round out the week, get you set for all the games over the weekend. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Enjoy your evening.
Football is on the menu tonight.
Showtime, prime time.
And we're delivering some fresh NFC action.
Here we go. Woo!
It's Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Y'all know what time it is, huh?
Pregame starts at 7:30.
Hey, together, baby. We just do this one play at a time.
The NFL on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med.
We came here for one thing, to win.
99.9 The Fan.